Have you ever stopped to think that money is much more than just paper or numbers in a bank account? Behind every dollar, every transaction, every financial decision, there is a powerful, living energy that shapes not only our material reality, but also our inner world. Welcome to The Living Energy of Money, a transformative journey that goes beyond traditional financial education concepts. Here, we will explore money as an energetic force that flows through our lives, carrying with it our beliefs, fears, dreams, and deepest aspirations. For centuries, we've been conditioned to see money merely as a means of exchange, a neutral tool to acquire goods and services. But what if I told you that this limited perspective is exactly what prevents us from experiencing true abundance and financial freedom? In this audiobook, we will discover together that money has its own vibration, a consciousness that responds to our intentions, emotions, and mental patterns. We will learn to recognize the energetic blockages that sabotage our prosperity, and more importantly, how to transform our relationship with money into a powerful alliance for personal growth and the realization of our highest purposes. This is not just another work on personal finance. It is an invitation to awaken a new consciousness about abundance, where money becomes a vehicle to express our values, nurture our relationships, and contribute positively to the world. Prepare yourself for a profound transformation in the way you see, feel, and interact with the energy of money. Your journey toward conscious prosperity starts now. Chapter 1. Money has consciousness. Why money responds to your energy and how it chooses where to stay. Did you know that money can feel you? Stop for a moment and reflect on this seemingly impossible statement. As you read these words, there exists an invisible force around you, a living, intelligent energy that is constantly evaluating your vibration, your thoughts, and your emotions. This force is neither mystical nor supernatural. It is money itself in its purest form, conscious energy in motion. For years, we have been conditioned to believe that money is just paper, metal, or digits on a screen. But this is a limited view that keeps us trapped in scarcity pattern. The revolutionary truth is that money, like all matter in the universe, is condensed energy. And energy, as modern science proves, carries information and consciousness. Let me share with you the story of Sarah, one of my students who discovered this truth in the most unexpected way. Sarah had worked as an accountant for 15 years, always struggling to pay bills, always one step ahead of scarcity. She knew numbers, spreadsheets, and budgets better than anyone, but money kept slipping through her fingers like sand. One day, while meditating in desperation about her financial situation, something extraordinary happened. In a deep state of relaxation, she began to perceive money not as something external she needed to hunt, but as a living energy that was constantly trying to find her. It was as if money were a wild animal that only approaches when you stop chasing it and begin to radiate calm and confidence. From that moment on, Sarah completely changed her approach. Instead of running after financial opportunities with desperation, she began to internally cultivate the energy of abundance. The result? In 6 months, her income tripled through opportunities that simply appeared in her life. The invisible intelligence of money quantum physics teaches us that at the subatomic level, matter is primarily empty space filled with vibrational energy fields. Each atom is 99.9% space, and in this space exists pure information, what scientists call the zero-point information field. This field not only connects all matter in the universe, but also responds to human consciousness. When you understand that money is condensed energy operating within this intelligent field, everything changes. You realize that your relationship with money is no different from your relationship with any other form of conscious energy. It responds to your intention, resonates with your emotions, and moves toward vibrational harmony. Think of money like water. Water always finds its level, always flows where there is least resistance, always seeks balance. But unlike water, money energy also carries intelligence. It knows where it is welcome, where it can grow and multiply, where it will find fertile ground to expand its own abundant nature. This is not a poetic metaphor. I am speaking of a real scientific principle. Studies in neuroscience show that our brain emits measurable electromagnetic fields that extend up to 3 meters around our body. These fields carry the fingerprints of our thoughts, emotions, and beliefs. And in the quantum realm, where money energy operates, these fields are like radio signals constantly transmitting our financial signature to the universe, the energetic radar of abundance. Imagine that you possess an internal radar that is always scanning the environment for financial opportunity. This radar is your personal energetic field, and its calibration depends entirely on your internal state of being. When you operate from scarcity, fear, or despair, your energetic radar transmits a frequency that repels opportunities. It's like trying to tune into a radio station with static. You might catch fragments here and there, but you never get a clear, consistent connection. But when you elevate your vibration to the frequency of abundance, when you genuinely feel prosperous, grateful, and confident, your internal radar becomes a powerful magnet. Financial opportunities begin to appear naturally in your life because you are vibrating at the same frequency as they are. This principle explains why some people seem to have inexplicable luck with money. It's not luck, it's vibrational alignment. They have unconsciously calibrated their internal radar to the frequency of abundance, and money energy responds by naturally flowing toward that harmony. Maria, a Brazilian entrepreneur, discovered this when her company was on the brink of bankruptcy. Desperate, she tried everything. New loans, new partners, new markets. Nothing worked. It was only when she stopped fighting and began to focus on elevating her own internal energy that things changed. In a state of deep gratitude and confidence, she began visualizing her company prospering, genuinely feeling the emotions of abundance. The result was almost magical. Within 2 weeks, an unknown investor contacted her offering exactly the capital she needed. A new contract appeared through an unexpected connection. A product that had been stagnant for months suddenly had high demand. Maria hadn't changed any external strategy. She had changed her internal vibration, and money energy responded immediately. The energetic dance of wealth. Understand this. You and money are engaged in a constant energetic dance. When you dance with fear, money retreats. When you dance with desperation, money hides. But when you dance with joy, confidence, and gratitude, money approaches and begins to dance with you. This dance happens in the quantum field, that invisible dimension where all possibilities exist simultaneously. In the quantum field, there is no scarcity, only infinite possibilities of abundance waiting to be manifested in physical reality. But to access these possibilities, you need to speak the language of the quantum field, which is the language of pure energy and elevated consciousness. When you operate from limiting emotions like fear, anger, or resentment toward money, you are sending discordant, energetic signals to the quantum field. It's like trying to open an electronic lock with the wrong code. No matter how many times you try, the door won't open. But when you align your thoughts, emotions, and actions with the frequency of abundance, you become a perfect transmitter to the quantum field. Your intentions become clear orders that the universe can interpret and manifest. Money energy receives your signal and begins to move in your direction. The natural magnetism of prosperity. Truly prosperous people possess something that goes beyond financial strategies or market knowledge. They possess a natural magnetism that attracts financial opportunities. This magnetism is not an innate talent. It is a state of being consciously cultivated. Observe someone you consider naturally prosperous. I'm not necessarily talking about billionaires, but about people who always seem to find opportunities, who naturally attract resources and advantageous collaborations. What do you notice about them? A quiet confidence, a positive energy, an ability to see possibilities where others see problems. This is the energetic signature of abundance, and the extraordinary news is that you can develop this same signature regardless of your current financial situation, because prosperity doesn't begin in your bank account. It begins in your consciousness. Ricardo, a young graphic designer, understood this when he had been unemployed for 8 months. Instead of continuing to send resumes with desperate energy, he decided to change his internal approach. He began each morning visualizing himself as a successful and prosperous professional. He genuinely cultivated the feeling of abundance in his body, even without external evidence. The transformation was remarkable. Within 3 weeks, he received 2 job offers, but more importantly, he began to perceive opportunities that had always been there, but that his previous vibration of scarcity prevented him from seeing. Freelance work began appearing through unexpected connections. Partnerships formed naturally. Ricardo had become a magnet for financial opportunities. The silent revolution of abundance. There is a silent revolution happening in the world today. Thousands of people are discovering that the true source of abundance lies not in external strategies, but in mastering their own internal energy. They are understanding that money is not something you need to chase. It is something that naturally comes to you when you become a compatible vibration. This revolution is not just about earning more money. It's about reclaiming your personal power, recognizing your abundant nature, and consciously aligning with the laws that govern material manifestation. It's about realizing that you are not a victim of financial circumstances. You are a conscious creator of your material reality. When you embrace the truth that money has consciousness and responds to your energy, you embark on a transformative journey. You stop fighting against life and begin to flow with it. You stop chasing opportunity and begin to attract them. You stop worrying about scarcity and begin to live from abundance. Money is waiting for you. It always has been. As conscious energy, it recognizes those who vibrate at the frequency of abundance and moves naturally toward them. Your journey to becoming a money magnet begins the moment you recognize this fundamental truth. You and money are made of the same universal substance, pure energy with infinite potential for creation and expansion. In the coming chapters, you will discover exactly how to calibrate your internal energy to this magnetic frequency. You will learn specific techniques to reprogram the limiting beliefs that have blocked your natural flow of abundance. And most importantly, you will begin to experience firsthand what it's like to live as a true money magnet. The living energy of money is calling you. It's time to answer. Chapter 2. The Scarcity Programming. Decoding the inherited limiting beliefs about money that sabotage your abundance. What if I told you that 95% of your financial struggles have nothing to do with your current circumstances? Take a deep breath and consider this shocking revelation. The reason you've been fighting an uphill battle with money isn't because of the economy, your education, your background, or even your current financial situation. It's because you've been programmed, literally programmed, with invisible software that runs in the background of your mind, sabotaging every attempt you make to create lasting abundance. This programming began before you could even speak, installed by well-meaning parents, teachers, and society itself. Like a computer virus that corrupts files without your awareness, these limiting beliefs about money have been operating in your subconscious mind for decades, creating an invisible ceiling on your financial potential. The most insidious part, you don't even know they're there. The invisible money prison. Jennifer discovered this truth in the most painful way possible. Despite having an MBA from a prestigious university and working in finance for over a decade, she could never seem to get ahead financially. She made good money, understood investments, created detailed budgets, but somehow always ended up back where she started, struggling to make ends meet. The breakthrough came during a family dinner when her mother casually mentioned, "Well, honey, we've always been middle-class people. We work hard for our money and don't expect miracles." In that moment, Jennifer realized she had been unconsciously living out her family's financial blueprint, a set of inherited beliefs that defined exactly how much abundance she was allowed to have. Her mother's words weren't malicious. They were simply passing down the same programming they had received from their parents, who had received it from theirs. Generation after generation of subtle but powerful messages about money. Money doesn't grow on trees. Rich people are greedy. We can't afford that. You have to work hard for money. Money is the root of all evil. Each of these statements, repeated thousands of times throughout childhood, became neural pathways in Jennifer's brain. Her subconscious mind, which controls 95% of her daily behaviors, had been programmed to automatically sabotage any attempt to transcend her family's financial limitation. The neuroscience of financial limitation. Here's what neuroscience reveals about your money programming. By the time you reach age 7, your brain is already running on autopilot, operating primarily from the subconscious programs installed during your most impressionable years. These programs were downloaded during what scientists call the theta state, a highly suggestible brainwave pattern that children naturally maintain until around age 7. During these crucial years, your young mind was like a supercomputer, absorbing everything around you without the filters of critical thinking. Every conversation about money, every stressed expression when bills arrived, every argument about finances, every subtle message about your family's place in the economic hierarchy was being recorded and installed as your operating system. The result? You developed what I call financial malware, unconscious programs that automatically limit your ability to receive, keep, or multiply money, regardless of your conscious desires or efforts. Michael, a successful entrepreneur, experienced this firsthand when he discovered that despite building a thriving business, he would unconsciously sabotage his success every time his income exceeded what his father had earned. His subconscious mind had been programmed with the belief that surpassing his father's financial achievements would be disrespectful or somehow wrong. This programming manifested as seemingly rational business decisions, unnecessary expenses, overly generous employee compensation, poor investment choices that consistently kept his income just below his unconscious limit. It wasn't until he recognized and reprogrammed these deep-seated beliefs that his business truly began to flourish. The cultural hypnosis of scarcity. The programming doesn't stop with family. Our entire culture operates as a massive hypnotic induction system, constantly reinforcing scarcity beliefs through media, advertising, and social conditioning. You've been hypnotized to believe in limitation, and most people never wake up from this trance. Consider how advertising works. It deliberately induces a state of want and lack, programming you to believe that you're incomplete without their product. Late-night commercials are particularly insidious because they target your subconscious mind when you're in the highly suggestible alpha and theta brainwave states just before sleep. The news media compounds this by flooding your consciousness with stories of economic doom, market crashes, and financial uncertainty. Your nervous system doesn't distinguish between direct experience and vivid media representation, so these constant messages of scarcity literally program your body to live in a state of financial stress and limitation. Social media adds another layer to this programming by creating constant comparison and envy. You're surrounded by curated images of others' financial success, which triggers your own feelings of inadequacy and reinforces the belief that abundance is something other people have, not you. This cultural programming is so pervasive that most people accept financial struggle as normal, even noble. They've been conditioned to believe that being humble about money is virtuous, that wanting abundance is somehow selfish or greedy. The biology of scarcity. When you operate from scarcity programming, your body literally produces different chemistry. Stress hormones like cortisol flood your system whenever you think about money, putting your nervous system into survival mode. In this state, your brain prioritizes short-term survival over long-term abundance creation. Research shows that financial stress actually shrinks the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for decision-making, planning, and creative problem-solving. The more you worry about money, the less capable you become of making the very decisions that could improve your financial situation. This creates a vicious cycle. Scarcity programming creates stress. Stress impairs your cognitive abilities. Poor decisions maintain scarcity, which generates more stress. You become trapped in what neuroscientists call a limited state of consciousness. Sandra experienced this biological trap when her divorce left her financially devastated. The constant stress of worrying about bills literally changed her brain chemistry, making her feel scattered, overwhelmed, and unable to think clearly about solutions. She described feeling like she was living in a fog where she couldn't access her natural intelligence and creativity. It wasn't until she learned to regulate her nervous system and interrupt the stress response that her mind cleared enough to see opportunities that had been there all along. Within 6 months of changing her internal state, she had created 3 new income streams and was earning more than she ever had in her marriage. The generational money curse, perhaps the most profound aspect of money programming, is how it gets passed down through generations like a genetic inheritance. Families often carry what I call financial DNA, unconscious agreements about their relationship with money that persist for decades or even centuries. These generational patterns can include beliefs like, we work with our hands, not our mind. Artists never make money. Our people have always been poor. Money changes people for the worse. If you make too much money, you'll lose your family connection. Doctor. Rachel discovered her family's money curse when she realized that despite being a successful physician, she felt guilty about her income and unconsciously gave most of it away through poor investments and overly generous gifts. Digging into her family history, she learned that her great-grandmother had been shunned by her family for marrying a wealthy man, creating a generational program that equated financial success with loss of love and belonging. This programming had been unconsciously passed down through 4 generations, causing each family member to self-sabotage their financial potential to maintain family loyalty. Once Rachel recognized this pattern and consciously chose to break it, she not only began accumulating wealth, but also became a model for other family members to heal their own money relationships. The religious and spiritual programming. Religious and spiritual programming around money creates some of the deepest limitations because it links financial success to moral worth. Many people carry unconscious programming that makes them believe they must choose between spiritual fulfillment and material abundance. Common religious money programs include, it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter heaven. Money is the root of all evil. Blessed are the poor. Spiritual people don't care about material things. These beliefs create enormous internal conflict for spiritually minded individuals who desire both personal growth and financial abundance. They feel forced to choose between their spiritual values and their material well-being. James, a gifted healer and meditation teacher, struggled with this exact conflict. He genuinely wanted to serve others but felt guilty about charging for his services. His religious upbringing had programmed him to believe that spiritual work should be done for free, that asking for money would somehow corrupt his gifts. This programming kept him barely surviving financially while pouring his heart into helping others. It wasn't until he realized that being broke didn't make him more spiritual, it just made him less effective at serving, that he began to heal his relationship with money. When he started honoring the energy exchange of money for service, both his income and his ability to help others expanded exponentially. The gender-specific programming. Men and women often receive different programming about money based on cultural gender roles and expectations. These gender-specific programs create unique challenges for each sex in developing a healthy relationship with abundance. Women frequently carry programming such as, "Good girls don't ask for money. It's not feminine to be aggressive about finances. A man should provide for you. Money makes you less attractive to men. You should be grateful for whatever you receive." Men typically inherit programs like, "Your worth is determined by how much you earn." Real men don't worry about money. "You must be the provider." Showing financial vulnerability is weakness. You're not a real man unless you're financially successful. These gender-specific programs create internal conflicts and limit both men and women from expressing their full financial potential. They also create relationship dynamics that often lead to power struggles and resentment around money. Lisa, a talented entrepreneur, discovered that her business plateaued at exactly the income level of her male colleagues because she had unconscious programming that told her she shouldn't show them up. Meanwhile, her husband David struggled with anxiety about their joint finances because his programming told him that if he wasn't the primary breadwinner, he was failing as a man. Only when they both recognized and worked to reprogram these gender-specific limitations were they able to create a truly abundant household where both partners could express their financial gifts freely. The awakening process. The good news is that once you become conscious of your programming, you can begin to change it. Awareness is the first step in breaking free from the invisible prison of scarcity consciousness. Start by observing your automatic thoughts and emotional reactions around money. Notice what comes up when you think about earning more, spending money, or receiving unexpected income. These reactions are your programming revealing itself. Pay attention to the stories you tell yourself about money and abundance. Listen for your parents' voices in your financial thoughts. Observe how your body feels when you contemplate financial success. Do you feel excited and worthy, or anxious and guilty? Remember, these programs were installed when you were too young to choose them consciously. They don't represent the truth about money or your worthiness to receive abundance. They are simply outdated software that can be updated with conscious effort and consistent practice. The journey to financial freedom isn't just about learning new strategies or working harder. It's about liberating yourself from the invisible limitations that have been running your financial life from behind the scenes. When you break free from scarcity programming, you don't just change your bank account balance. You transform your entire relationship with abundance, worthiness, and your power to create the life you truly desire. In the next chapter, we'll explore the quantum physics principles that govern how your newly liberated consciousness can begin to manifest unprecedented levels of abundance in your physical reality. The journey from programmed limitation to conscious creation is about to begin. Chapter 3. The Quantum Physics of Abundance. How the quantum field responds to your financial intentions and creates your material reality. What if everything you thought you knew about creating wealth was backwards? For decades, we've been taught that financial success comes from working harder, saving more, and finding the right investment strategy. We've been conditioned to believe that money creation is a purely physical process, that you must take action in the material world to produce material results. But what if I told you that the most powerful wealth creation happens not in the physical realm, but in an invisible dimension that quantum physicists call the unified field, a realm of pure potential where your financial future already exists as energy, waiting to be collapsed into physical reality through the power of your consciousness. This isn't wishful thinking or mystical fantasy. This is cutting-edge science that reveals the fundamental mechanism by which all material abundance is created. When you understand and apply these quantum principles, you don't just change your bank account. You become a conscious collaborator with the very forces that create reality itself, the hidden dimension of wealth creation. Rebecca, a struggling single mother, discovered this hidden dimension in the most desperate moment of her life. With 3 children to feed and only $47 in her bank account, she was facing eviction in 2 weeks. She had tried everything: multiple jobs, government assistance, borrowing from family, but nothing seemed to work. One night, sitting in her dark apartment after the electricity had been shut off, something extraordinary happened. Instead of falling into despair, Rebecca entered what can only be described as an altered state of consciousness. She stopped focusing on her physical circumstances and began to imagine, with vivid sensory detail, a life of financial abundance. But this wasn't ordinary visualization. Rebecca described feeling as if she was floating in an ocean of possibility, where she could sense infinite versions of her life existing simultaneously. In this space, she found a version of herself that was financially free, confident, and abundant. Most remarkably, this wealthy version of herself felt more real than her current circumstances. From that quantum dimension, Rebecca began to download information. Ideas, opportunities, and solutions that had never occurred to her before began flooding her consciousness. The next day, she acted on these insights with unwavering certainty, as if she was simply remembering a future that had already happened. Within 6 months, Rebecca had launched a successful online business, moved into a beautiful home, and was earning more money than she had ever imagined possible. But the most profound change wasn't in her circumstances. It was in her understanding of how reality works, the unified field, where all abundance originates. To understand how Rebecca's transformation was possible, we need to explore what quantum physicists call the unified field, the invisible foundation of all physical reality. This field exists beyond the dimensions of space and time, beyond the reach of your 5 senses, yet it is the source from which everything in the material world emerges. Think of the unified field as the internet of the universe, an invisible network of energy and information that connects every atom, every thought, and every possibility that has ever existed or could ever exist. In this field, there is no scarcity, because there is no separation. There is only infinite potential waiting to be organized into physical form. When the famous physicist Albert Einstein said, "The field is the sole governing agency of the particle," he was revealing the most important secret of manifestation. The invisible always governs the visible. The quantum field doesn't just influence material reality. It creates it, moment by moment, through a process that scientists call wave function collapse. Here's how it works. In the quantum field, everything exists as pure potential, what physicists call probability waves. Your future abundance, your ideal financial situation, your perfect life circumstances, they all exist right now as energetic possibilities in this invisible dimension. But they remain as potential until consciousness observes them and causes them to collapse into physical experience. You are not separate from this field. You are an expression of it. Your consciousness is the bridge between the realm of infinite possibility and the world of material form. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every intention you hold sends ripples through the quantum field, organizing potential realities into actual experiences. The observer effect, how consciousness creates money. The most revolutionary discovery in quantum physics is what scientists call the observer effect. This principle reveals that the very act of conscious observation transforms energy into matter, possibility into actuality, potential into experience. When you observe your current financial reality with fear, worry, or limitation, you are literally collapsing abundance possibilities back into scarcity experiences. But when you observe your financial future with joy, gratitude, and certainty, when you feel abundant even before the money appears, you create a powerful electromagnetic signature that resonates with abundance in the quantum field. Marcus, a former Wall Street trader, experienced this principle firsthand after losing everything in a market crash. For months, he focused obsessively on his losses, his mistakes, and his lack of opportunities. Despite his expertise and connections, every business venture failed, every investment turned sour, and every opportunity seemed to slip through his fingers. The breakthrough came when Marcus realized he was unconsciously observing his financial future through the lens of his past failure. His consciousness was locked onto the frequency of loss and limitation, and the quantum field was simply responding by organizing reality to match that vibration. Marcus began a daily practice of observing his financial future from the perspective of abundance. Instead of reviewing his losses, he spent time each morning feeling genuine gratitude for wealth that hadn't yet manifested. Instead of worrying about bills, he cultivated the emotion of financial freedom. Instead of focusing on what he lacked, he observed infinite possibility in the quantum field. The results were swift and dramatic. Within 3 weeks, a former colleague contacted him with an opportunity that led to a 7-figure deal. New business connections appeared seemingly out of nowhere. Investment opportunities that aligned perfectly with his expertise began presenting themselves daily. Marcus had learned to consciously collapse quantum potential into material abundance, the electromagnetic signature of prosperity. Your thoughts and emotions are not just abstract mental activities. They are electromagnetic frequencies that broadcast into the quantum field like radio signals. Every time you think about money, you're transmitting a specific signature that tells the field exactly what kind of financial experience to organize for you. When you think about money from fear, you transmit the frequency of scarcity. When you feel grateful for abundance that hasn't yet appeared, you transmit the frequency of prosperity. The quantum field doesn't judge your transmission. It simply responds by organizing reality to match whatever frequency you're consistently broadcasting. Most people unknowingly broadcast mixed or contradictory signals about money. They might visualize wealth while feeling unworthy, or affirm abundance while worrying about bills. These conflicting frequencies create what quantum physicists call wave interference, a phenomenon that actually cancels out the manifestation process. The key to quantum abundance is learning to transmit a clear, coherent frequency that aligns your thoughts, emotions, and energy with the financial reality you want to create. This isn't about positive thinking or self-deception. It's about consciously calibrating your electromagnetic signature to resonate with abundance in the quantum field. The science of synchronicity. When your consciousness becomes coherent with abundance in the quantum field, something extraordinary happens. Synchronicities begin to appear in your physical reality. These aren't coincidences. They are the quantum field organizing material circumstances to match your energetic signature. Synchronicities are signs that you've successfully aligned with your desired outcome in the realm of pure potential. They appear as unexpected opportunities, perfect timing, chance encounters, and lucky breaks that seem to defy logical explanation, but are actually the natural result of quantum principles in action. Jennifer, a graphic designer, experienced a cascade of synchronicities after learning to work with quantum abundance principles. Within 1 month of changing her energetic relationship with money, She received 3 unexpected client referrals, discovered a government grant program perfect for her business, and met a successful entrepreneur at a coffee shop who became her mentor and business partner. Jennifer hadn't forced these opportunities or manipulated circumstances to create them. She had simply aligned her consciousness with abundance in the quantum field, and the field organized physical reality to reflect that alignment. The opportunities didn't come to her despite her circumstances. They came because her energetic state made her a vibrational match for them. Time-space versus space-time, the quantum shortcut. In the physical world of space-time, creating wealth requires linear progression through material actions, education, career building, saving, investing, and gradual accumulation over years or decades. But in the quantum realm of time-space, all possibilities exist simultaneously in the eternal now. When you access the quantum field through elevated consciousness, you can literally download a future reality that already exists as potential. Instead of building wealth step by step through physical effort, you can collapse an abundant future into your present experience through conscious resonance with quantum possibilities. This doesn't mean physical action becomes irrelevant. It means your actions become divinely inspired and supernaturally effective because they're aligned with the quantum organizing principle that creates reality. You work less but accomplish more. You effort less but attract more. You force less but receive more. David discovered this principle when his construction business was failing during an economic recession. Instead of working longer hours and cutting more costs, the traditional space-time approach, David began spending time each morning connecting with his abundant future in the quantum field. In this elevated state of consciousness, David received insights about new market opportunities, innovative service offerings, and strategic partnerships that his analytical mind had never considered. By acting on these quantum inspirations, he not only saved his business but transformed it into the most successful construction company in his region. David had learned to leverage time-space rather than being limited by space-time. He had discovered how to collapse future abundance into present reality through conscious connection with quantum potential. The holographic nature of money. One of the most profound insights from quantum physics is that reality is holographic, meaning that every part contains information about the whole. This principle has revolutionary implications for wealth creation because it reveals that the energy of abundance is present everywhere, waiting to be accessed through consciousness. You don't need to go somewhere else to find abundance. You need to become abundance. You don't need to attract money from outside yourself. You need to realize that you and money are made of the same quantum substance. When your consciousness aligns with this truth, financial limitation becomes impossible because you are operating from the unified field where separation and scarcity don't exist. This holographic principle explains why some people can create wealth in any circumstances while others struggle regardless of their advantages. It's not about external resources. It's about internal resonance with the quantum field of infinite abundance. Coherent heart-brain communication. Advanced research in quantum consciousness reveals that optimal manifestation occurs when your heart and brain achieve coherent electromagnetic communication. Your heart isn't just a pump. It's a sophisticated information processing center that generates the body's strongest electromagnetic field, 60 times greater than the brain. When you feel genuine emotions of gratitude, joy, or appreciation while focusing on your abundant future, your heart begins generating coherent electromagnetic patterns. This coherence synchronizes with your brain, creating what researchers call a psychophysiological coherent state that dramatically amplifies your ability to influence quantum possibilities. In this coherent state, you become a powerful antenna for abundance, simultaneously broadcasting and receiving electromagnetic information. that organizes your material reality. Your entire nervous system aligns with prosperity consciousness, creating internal conditions that naturally attract external abundance. The quantum fields, organizing intelligence. Perhaps the most profound aspect of quantum abundance is recognizing that the unified field possesses an organizing intelligence that far exceeds human comprehension. When you align with this intelligence through elevated consciousness, you don't have to figure out how abundance will manifest. You simply need to maintain coherent resonance with the field and trust its organizing power. This intelligence has been creating and sustaining the entire universe for billions of years. It knows exactly how to organize energy into matter, how to coordinate infinite variables, and how to manifest abundance in ways that serve the highest good. When you surrender your limited human perspective and align with this quantum intelligence, you become a conduit for miraculous manifestation. The key is learning to get your personal agenda out of the way and allowing the field's intelligence to work through you. This requires a fundamental shift from trying to control outcomes to trusting the quantum organizing principle. When you make this shift, abundance doesn't just come to you, it comes through you, transforming not only your financial reality, but your entire understanding of how creation works. In the next chapter, we'll explore the specific neuroscience techniques that allow you to reprogram your brain for this quantum abundance consciousness. You'll learn how to literally rewire your neural networks to automatically align with prosperity, creating a millionaire mindset that operates from quantum principles rather than limiting beliefs. The journey from scarcity consciousness to quantum abundance awaits. Your wealthy future is calling you from the unified field of infinite possibility. Chapter 4. Reprogramming the Millionaire Brain. Neuroplasticity techniques for installing new neural patterns of prosperity. What if I told you that your brain doesn't know the difference between a real $1 million and a vividly imagined $1 million? This isn't a philosophical question. It's a scientific fact that revolutionizes everything you thought you knew about wealth creation. Your brain, the most sophisticated computer ever created, operates on a simple principle. It responds to repeated patterns of thoughts and emotions by physically rewiring itself to support whatever reality you consistently focus on. When you understand and harness this principle called neuroplasticity, you don't just change your thoughts about money. You literally rebuild your brain's neural architecture to automatically generate millionaire consciousness. You become wealthy from the inside out at the most fundamental biological level. The breakthrough moment comes when you realize that every millionaire's brain has been unconsciously programmed for abundance, while every struggling person's brain has been wired for limitation. But here's the extraordinary news. You can consciously reprogram your neural networks at any age, in any circumstances, and create a millionaire mind that operates automatically and effortlessly. The neuroscience of financial identity. Thomas was a brilliant software engineer earning 6 figures, yet he lived paycheck to paycheck and felt constantly stressed about money. Despite his intelligence and high income, his brain had been wired with scarcity patterns that automatically sabotaged his financial success. The transformation began when Thomas discovered that his financial identity wasn't determined by his conscious choices, but by unconscious neural networks that had been programmed decades earlier. Every time he thought about money, his brain automatically activated the same neural pathways, the same thoughts, emotions, and behaviors that had kept him financially limited his entire life. Through advanced brain imaging technology, Thomas could actually see his neural patterns when thinking about wealth. When he visualized having abundant money, areas of his brain associated with fear, unworthiness, and anxiety lit up like a Christmas tree. His neural networks had been conditioned to associate financial success with danger, making it biologically impossible for him to sustain abundance. But neuroplasticity research reveals an extraordinary truth. Your brain remains malleable throughout your entire life. The same mechanism that created limiting neural patterns can be used to install prosperity patterns. When Thomas began consciously rewiring his neural networks for abundance, everything changed. Within 6 months, Thomas had launched a successful consulting business, tripled his income, and most remarkably, felt completely comfortable and natural with wealth for the first time in his life. His brain had literally become a millionaire brain, automatically generating thoughts, emotions, and behaviors that supported financial abundance. The physical architecture of wealth consciousness. Your brain contains approximately 100 billion neurons, each capable of forming thousands of connections with other neurons. These connections, called synapses, create neural networks that operate like sophisticated software programs, automatically generating your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors without conscious effort. Every time you have a thought about money, specific neural networks fire together. When you repeatedly think the same thoughts about wealth, whether positive or negative, those neural networks become stronger and more automatic. Neuroscientists express this principle with a simple phrase: neurons that fire together, wire together. Most people have unknowingly created neural networks that automatically generate scarcity consciousness. Every time they think about money, their brains activate patterns of fear, worry, limitation, and struggle. These networks become so strong and automatic that they feel like unchangeable aspects of personality, but they're simply learned patterns that can be unlearned and replaced. Millionaire consciousness operates from completely different neural networks, patterns that automatically generate confidence, opportunity awareness, creative problem-solving, and abundance expectation. These individuals don't have to try to think positively about money. Their brains are literally wired to perceive and create financial opportunities naturally. The revolutionary insight is that you can consciously install these millionaire neural patterns through specific neuroplasticity techniques. You can literally rewire your brain to automatically generate wealth consciousness instead of scarcity consciousness. The emotional chemistry of abundance. Neural networks aren't just electrical patterns, they're also chemical realities. Every thought you think triggers the release of specific neurotransmitters and neuropeptides that create corresponding emotions in your body. These emotions then trigger more thoughts of the same nature, creating self-reinforcing cycles of either abundance or scarcity consciousness. When Sarah, a small business owner, examined her habitual thoughts about money, she discovered a shocking pattern. Every financial thought automatically triggered stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, flooding her system with chemicals that made her feel anxious, overwhelmed, and scattered. Her body had become addicted to the chemistry of financial stress. This chemical addiction to scarcity emotions was literally preventing Sarah from thinking clearly about financial opportunity. When your nervous system is flooded with stress hormones, the prefrontal cortex, the brain region responsible for creative thinking and strategic planning, goes offline. You become biologically incapable of generating the insights and innovations that create wealth. The breakthrough came when Sarah learned to consciously generate the emotional chemistry of abundance. Instead of allowing money thoughts to trigger stress chemicals, she trained her brain to release elevated emotions like gratitude, joy, and excitement when contemplating her financial future. This wasn't positive thinking or emotional manipulation. It was conscious neurochemical programming. By consistently pairing thoughts of wealth with elevated emotion, Sarah was literally training her brain to produce the chemical signature of abundance. Within weeks, her business ideas became more creative, her energy increased dramatically, and opportunities began appearing that she had never noticed before. Her brain had learned to automatically generate the neurochemistry that supports wealth creation instead of the chemistry that inhibits it. Memory reconsolidation, rewriting your financial past. One of the most powerful discoveries in neuroscience is memory reconsolidation, the brain's ability to literally rewrite existing memories by recalling them in new emotional contexts. This principle allows you to transform limiting financial memories into empowering ones, changing your relationship with money at the deepest level. Marcus discovered this power when working with a traumatic childhood memory of his family losing their home to foreclosure. For 30 years, this memory had been creating neural patterns of financial fear and insecurity. Every time Marcus thought about buying a house or making a large investment, this old memory would activate, flooding his system with anxiety and self-doubt. Through memory reconsolidation techniques, Marcus learned to recall this childhood experience while simultaneously generating feelings of wisdom, strength, and resilience. Instead of reliving the fear and helplessness, he experienced the memory as a source of determination and financial intelligence. The remarkable result was that this previously traumatic memory became a source of empowerment. Marcus's brain literally rewrote the neural networks associated with this experience, transforming it from a limitation into a strength. The fear-based patterns that had sabotaged his financial decisions for decades simply dissolved. Within months, Marcus was making financial decisions with confidence and clarity he had never experienced. The same memory that had once created limitation was now generating motivation and wisdom. His brain had learned to use his past as fuel for his abundant future instead of proof of his limitations. Future memory installation, perhaps the most revolutionary neuroplasticity technique, is what neuroscientists call prospective memory, or future memory installation. This process involves creating such vivid, emotionally charged mental rehearsals of your abundant future that your brain begins treating these imagined experiences as actual memories. When you repeatedly visualize yourself living abundantly, with intense sensory detail and elevated emotion, your brain creates neural networks identical to those that would form from actually living that abundant life. Your subconscious mind literally cannot distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. Jennifer, a teacher wanting to transition into entrepreneurship, used this technique to install memories of herself as a successful business owner. Every morning for 30 minutes, she would mentally rehearse running her dream business, feeling the emotions of success, visualizing client interactions, and experiencing the satisfaction of financial independence. The key was making these mental rehearsals more vivid and emotionally engaging than her current reality. Jennifer engaged all her senses, seeing her office, hearing conversations with clients, feeling the textures of success, even smelling the coffee in her dream workspace. Most importantly, she generated authentic emotions of fulfillment, confidence, and gratitude. After 6 months of consistent future memory installation, Jennifer's brain had literally been rewired with entrepreneurial neural patterns. When opportunities arose, she responded with the confidence and competence of someone who had already succeeded. Her installed future memories were automatically generating the thoughts, emotions, and behaviors that made her imagined success inevitable. Within 18 months, Jennifer had built a thriving consulting business that exceeded her wildest financial projections. Her future memories had become her present reality. Coherent brain states and wealth magnetism. Advanced neuroscience reveals that peak performance and manifestation ability occur when your brain achieves what researchers call coherent states, synchronized patterns where different brain regions work together harmoniously instead of competing against each other. Most people live in incoherent brain states, characterized by internal conflict, scattered attention, and contradictory neural patterns. When thinking about money, Their brains simultaneously activate networks of desire and fear, confidence and unworthiness, abundance and scarcity. These conflicting patterns create neurological chaos that prevents clear thinking and effective action. Millionaire consciousness operates from coherent brain states where all neural networks align toward abundance. There's no internal conflict, no competing programs, no self-sabotage. The entire brain works together to perceive opportunities, generate creative solutions, and take inspired action toward wealth creation. David learned to create coherent brain states through specific meditation and visualization techniques designed to synchronize his neural networks around abundance. Instead of having parts of his brain focused on scarcity, while other parts visualized wealth, his entire nervous system became aligned with prosperity consciousness. The transformation was remarkable. David's business decisions became incredibly intuitive and accurate. He could sense profitable opportunities that others missed. His energy increased dramatically, and he found himself naturally attracted to wealthy, successful people who became mentors and partners. His coherent brain state was literally magnetizing the people, circumstances, and opportunities that supported his financial growth. The millionaire default mode. Network neuroscientists have discovered that your brain has a default mode network, automatic patterns of thought and emotion that operate when you're not consciously focused on specific tasks. This network runs continuously in the background, generating your unconscious mindset about life, including money. Most people have default mode networks programmed for mediocrity or struggle. When their minds aren't actively engaged, they automatically drift into patterns of worry, limitation, or mental replay of financial problems. These unconscious patterns consume enormous mental energy and consistently reinforce scarcity consciousness. Millionaires typically have default mode networks programmed for opportunity and abundance. When their minds are at rest, they automatically generate thoughts about possibilities, creative solutions, and wealth expansion. Their unconscious mental patterns continuously reinforce prosperity consciousness, even when they're not actively thinking about money. The extraordinary news is that you can consciously reprogram your default mode network to automatically generate millionaire consciousness. Through consistent practice of specific techniques, you can train your brain to default to abundance instead of scarcity, opportunity instead of limitation, confidence instead of fear. Lisa accomplished this transformation by creating what she called abundance anchors, specific thoughts, emotions, and mental images that she practiced until they became automatic. Whenever her mind wasn't actively engaged, instead of drifting into worry or limitation, her brain would automatically generate these abundance patterns. The result was profound. Lisa's entire relationship with life shifted from scarcity-based to abundance-based. She found herself naturally noticing opportunities, feeling optimistic about the future, and taking actions that supported her financial growth. Her default mode network had become her greatest asset for wealth creation, neuroplasticity, and quantum coherence. The most advanced application of neuroplasticity for wealth creation involves training your brain to maintain quantum coherent states, synchronized patterns that allow your consciousness to directly influence the quantum field where all possibilities exist. When your neural networks achieve coherent alignment around abundance, your brain begins generating electromagnetic fields that resonate with quantum potentials for wealth creation. This isn't metaphysical speculation. It's measurable science. Coherent brain states produce powerful electromagnetic signatures that can influence the organization of energy and matter at the quantum level. Regular practice of neuroplasticity techniques creates permanent changes in brain structure and function. New neural pathways become stronger, while old limiting patterns literally atrophy from disuse. Your brain physically reorganizes itself to support abundance consciousness instead of scarcity consciousness. The ultimate result is a complete transformation of your financial identity at the neurological level. You don't have to try to think positively about money. Your brain automatically generates abundance consciousness. You don't have to force yourself to take wealthy actions. Your rewired nervous system naturally gravitates toward behaviors that create prosperity. You become wealthy, not just financially, but neurologically. Your millionaire brain becomes your most powerful asset for creating and sustaining abundance in every area of your life. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to elevate your vibrational frequency to naturally magnetize wealth and opportunities. You'll discover the energetic principles that allow your newly reprogrammed brain to broadcast prosperity signal that the universe responds to with incredible abundance. Chapter 5. The Vibration of Wealth. Elevating your energetic frequency to automatically tune into financial opportunities. What if wealth isn't something you have to chase, but rather a frequency you tune into? Imagine for a moment that you're holding a radio. Right now, in the space around you, thousands of radio stations are broadcasting simultaneously. Music, news, talk shows, all existing as electromagnetic frequencies in the invisible field that surrounds you. You don't see these radio waves. You don't hear them until you tune your receiver to their specific frequency, but they're always there, waiting to be accessed. Wealth operates on exactly the same principle. Financial abundance isn't scarce. It's broadcasting continuously as an energetic frequency in the quantum field that surrounds. The reason most people struggle financially isn't because there's not enough money to go around. It's because they're tuned to the wrong frequency. They're broadcasting scarcity, while abundance is transmitting on a completely different vibrational channel. When you understand and master the vibrational science of wealth, you stop trying to force financial success through struggle and effort. Instead, you simply calibrate your energetic frequency to match the vibration of abundance, and wealth begins flowing to you as naturally as tuning into your favorite radio station. The electromagnetic nature of money. Catherine discovered this truth during the darkest period of her life. After her divorce, she found herself with 3 children, no job skills, and mounting debt that seemed insurmountable. For months, she threw herself into job searching, budgeting, and financial planning with desperate intensity. But the harder she tried, the worse things seemed to get. The breakthrough came when Catherine stopped trying and started being. In a moment of complete exhaustion, she experienced what she later described as an energetic shift, a sudden awareness that she had been approaching money from a place of fear and desperation, which was actually repelling the very abundance she sought. Catherine began to study the science of electromagnetic fields and discovered something remarkable. Every emotion you feel generates a specific electromagnetic frequency that radiates from your body into the surrounding field. Fear, worry, and desperation broadcast one frequency, while confidence, gratitude, and abundance consciousness broadcast an entirely different frequency. When Catherine consciously shifted her emotional frequency from scarcity to abundance, feeling genuinely grateful for wealth before it appeared, her entire financial reality began to transform. Within 6 months, she had launched a successful business, attracted ideal clients, and was earning more money than she had ever imagined possible. The transformation wasn't magical, it was scientific. Catherine had learned to broadcast the electromagnetic frequency of wealth, and the universe responded by organizing financial opportunities that matched her new energetic signature, the heart's electromagnetic field. Advanced research reveals that your heart generates the body's strongest electromagnetic field, 60 times greater in amplitude than the brain, and extending up to 8 feet around your body. This field isn't just biological. It's a powerful transmitter that broadcasts your emotional state into the quantum field, where all possibilities exist. When you feel emotions of lack, fear, or financial stress, your heart generates chaotic, incoherent electromagnetic patterns that literally repel abundance. These discordant frequencies create what scientists call wave interference in the quantum field, canceling out the very opportunities you're trying to attract. But when you cultivate elevated emotions like gratitude, joy, and appreciation, while thinking about your financial future, your heart begins generating coherent electromagnetic patterns that resonate with abundance in the quantum field. Your heart becomes a powerful magnet for wealth, naturally attracting the people, circumstances, and opportunities that support your financial growth. Michael, a struggling consultant, experienced this transformation firsthand when he began practicing heart coherence techniques. Instead of approaching potential clients from a place of need and desperation, Michael learned to generate genuine feelings of gratitude and service before every business interaction. The results were immediate and profound. Clients began responding to Michael with unexpected enthusiasm. Referrals started flowing naturally. Business opportunities appeared seemingly out of nowhere. Michael's heart had become a prosperity magnet, broadcasting coherent signals that attracted abundance at every level: frequency entrainment and wealth magnetism. One of the most powerful principles in vibrational science is frequency entrainment, the phenomenon where vibrating objects synchronize their rhythms when placed near each other. This principle explains why wealthy people naturally attract more wealth, while struggling individuals seem to attract more struggle. When you consistently maintain the vibrational frequency of abundance, you begin to entrain with other frequencies of prosperity in your environment. Wealthy people, successful businesses, profitable opportunities, they all operate at similar vibrational frequencies. When your personal frequency matches theirs, you naturally synchronize and become part of their abundant reality. This isn't about networking or trying to manipulate circumstances. It's about becoming a vibrational match for the level of success you want to experience. When your energy field resonates with abundance, you automatically attract other abundance frequencies through the natural law of entrainment. Sandra discovered this principle when she noticed that despite having similar skills and experience as her colleagues, some people seemed to effortlessly attract better opportunities, higher salaries, and more recognition. The difference wasn't in their abilities, it was in their vibrational frequency. Sandra began consciously cultivating the emotional frequency of success. She practiced feeling accomplished, valued, and prosperous throughout her day, regardless of her current circumstances. Within months, Sandra found herself naturally gravitating toward successful people, being invited to high-level meetings and receiving opportunities that had never been available to her before. Her elevated vibrational frequency had entrained with the frequency of success, making her a natural magnet for advancement and abundance. The coherence amplification effect. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions align around abundance, you create what scientists call coherent amplification, a phenomenon where synchronized energies become exponentially more powerful than their individual components. This coherence doesn't just improve your manifestation ability, it literally transforms you into a walking abundance generator. Coherent abundance consciousness operates like a laser beam, focused, organized, and incredibly powerful, compared to the scattered, incoherent energy patterns that characterize scarcity consciousness. When all aspects of your being align with prosperity, you broadcast such a clear, strong signal that the universe has no choice but to respond with matching abundance. This coherence creates what I call the wealth magnetism effect, a state where financial opportunities are naturally drawn to you because your energy field has become irresistibly attractive to prosperity frequencies in the quantum field. Robert experienced this effect when he learned to align his thoughts, emotions, and actions around his vision of financial freedom. Instead of having parts of his consciousness focused on abundance while other parts worried about bills, Robert achieved complete internal coherence around prosperity. The transformation was remarkable. Robert's business ideas became more innovative and profitable. His investment decisions improved dramatically. His energy levels increased, and he found himself naturally attracting mentors, partners, and opportunities that accelerated his wealth creation beyond anything he had previously experienced. Robert had become a coherent abundance field, and wealth flowed to him with magnetic attraction. Elevated emotions, the currency of creation. The most profound discovery in manifestation science is that elevated emotions, feelings like gratitude, joy, inspiration, and love, operate at vibrational frequencies that naturally resonate with abundance in the quantum field. These emotions aren't just pleasant feelings. They're literally the energetic currency that creates material reality. When you generate elevated emotions while visualizing your abundant future, you're not just daydreaming. You're transmitting specific electromagnetic frequencies that organize quantum potentials into physical experiences. The more elevated the emotion, the faster the frequency, and the more powerful your ability to influence material circumstances. Most people wait for external circumstances to generate elevated emotion. They'll feel grateful when they get money, joyful when they achieve success, inspired when opportunities appear. But this approach keeps them trapped in limitation because they're waiting for the outside world to change their internal state. Abundance consciousness operates in reverse. You generate elevated emotions first, and then the external world reorganizes itself to match your internal frequency. You feel wealthy before you have wealth, grateful before you receive abundance, successful before you achieve success. Lisa mastered this principle when she began her day with what she called abundance appreciation, spending 20 minutes each morning feeling genuine gratitude for financial prosperity that hadn't yet manifested. She would experience the emotions of freedom, security, and joy, as if she were already living her ideal financial life. The practice seemed strange at first, but the results were undeniable. Lisa's business grew rapidly, unexpected income streams appeared, and financial opportunities began presenting themselves with increasing frequency. By generating the emotional frequency of abundance first, Lisa had created a vibrational template that her physical reality couldn't help but match. The quantum field response. The quantum field operates on a simple principle. It responds to the frequency you broadcast by organizing energy and matter to match that vibration. When you consistently transmit the electromagnetic signature of abundance, the specific combination of thoughts and elevated emotions that characterize wealth consciousness, the field begins reorganizing circumstances to reflect that frequency. This isn't wishful thinking or positive psychology. It's applied quantum physics. The same scientific principles that allow radio waves to transmit information through space allow your consciousness to transmit intentions through the quantum field. Your thoughts provide the information, your elevated emotions provide the energy, and the field organizes the manifestation. The key is maintaining frequency stability. Just as a radio needs to stay tuned to a station to receive clear transmission, you need to maintain your abundance frequency consistently to receive clear manifestations. This means cultivating elevated emotions about money regularly, not just when you're meditating or visualizing, but throughout your daily life. Breaking through frequency interference. Most people unknowingly create frequency interference that disrupts their abundance transmissions. They might spend time visualizing wealth while simultaneously worrying about bills, or feel grateful for abundance while secretly doubting their worthiness to receive it. These mixed signals create chaotic electromagnetic patterns that confuse the quantum field and prevent clear manifestation. Breaking through frequency interference requires what I call energetic integrity, ensuring that all aspects of your consciousness are aligned with abundance. This means examining and transforming the subtle ways you might be unconsciously broadcasting scarcity frequencies throughout your day. Common sources of frequency interference include complaining about prices, worrying about economic conditions, feeling guilty about wanting money, comparing your financial situation to others, and replaying past financial failures or limitations. Each of these mental and emotional patterns broadcasts scarcity frequencies that interfere with your abundance transmission. James eliminated frequency interference by becoming consciously aware of every thought and emotion related to money throughout his day. Whenever he caught himself broadcasting scarcity frequencies through worry, complaint, or limitation, he would immediately shift to an elevated emotional state and refocus on abundance. This practice of frequency monitoring transformed James's financial reality within months. As he eliminated the scattered, contradictory signals that had been confusing his manifestations, his wealth creation became focused, consistent, and accelerated beyond his previous limitations. Vibrational wealth maintenance. Creating abundance is one challenge. Maintaining it is another. Many people achieve financial success only to lose it again because they don't understand the vibrational principles that sustain wealth over time. Maintaining abundance requires understanding that wealth is not just about accumulating money. It's about maintaining the vibrational frequency that naturally generates and regenerates financial prosperity. Sustainable wealth consciousness operates from what I call generative abundance, a frequency that doesn't just attract money, but continuously creates value, opportunities, and expansion. This frequency is characterized by feelings of creativity, service, contribution, and continuous growth, rather than just accumulation and security. People who maintain long-term wealth understand intuitively that they must continue broadcasting the same elevated frequencies that created their abundance in the first place. They don't shift to scarcity frequencies when they achieve success. They maintain abundance consciousness as a permanent way of being. Maria exemplified this principle when she achieved significant financial success, but continued practicing the same abundance frequency techniques that had created her wealth initially. While others in her situation might have relaxed their consciousness practices, Maria understood that her elevated frequency was the foundation of her continued prosperity. As a result, Maria's wealth continued expanding exponentially rather than plateauing or declining. Her sustained abundance frequency kept attracting new opportunities, innovations, and expansions that carried her financial success to levels she had never imagined possible. Your vibrational frequency is your most powerful wealth creation tool. When you master the art of broadcasting abundance consciousness consistently, you transform from someone who chases money into someone who naturally magnetizes prosperity through the power of elevated frequency. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to identify and release the specific energetic blocks that have been preventing your abundance frequency from transmitting clearly. You'll discover the hidden patterns that create financial limitation and learn techniques to transform these blocks into fuel for unprecedented prosperity. Chapter 6. Liberating Financial Energy Blocks. Transforming money traumas and family patterns into fuel for abundance. What if the very experiences that created your financial limitations could become your greatest sources of wealth? Hidden beneath your conscious awareness, energetic blocks are operating like invisible dams, restricting the natural flow of abundance that should be moving freely through your life. These blocks aren't abstract psychological concepts. They're actual energetic patterns stored in your body created by past financial traumas, inherited family patterns, and societal programming that continue to sabotage your prosperity decades after their original formation. But here's the revolutionary truth that changes everything. These energy blocks aren't permanent fixtures in your system. They're compressed packets of trapped life force that, when properly released and transformed, become powerful fuel for creating unprecedented abundance. Your deepest financial wounds can become your greatest sources of wealth creation energy. The journey to financial freedom isn't just about changing your thoughts or learning new strategies. It's about liberating the tremendous creative energy that has been locked away in these blocks, transforming limitation patterns into abundance generators, and reclaiming the full power of your natural wealth, creating capacity. The anatomy of financial energy blocks. Margaret discovered the true nature of her financial blocks when she realized that despite earning a substantial income as a successful attorney, she felt constantly anxious about money and could never seem to accumulate wealth. No matter how much she earned, unexpected expenses would always appear. Investments would mysteriously underperform, and she found herself living with a persistent undercurrent of financial insecurity. The breakthrough came when Margaret learned that financial energy blocks operate through what scientists call somatic memories, traumatic experiences stored not just in the mind, but in the physical tissues of the body. Every time Margaret thought about money, her nervous system would automatically activate stress responses based on financial traumas she had experienced decades earlier. At age 7, Margaret had witnessed her parents' devastating bankruptcy, watching her father cry at the kitchen table while bill collectors called daily. Her mother's face, etched with worry and shame, became associated in Margaret's nervous system with having money problems. These experiences created energetic contractions in her body, physical tensions that automatically activated whenever money became a focus. These blocks operated like energetic software programs, automatically sabotaging Margaret's abundance by creating unconscious behaviors, overworking to prove her worth, undercharging for her services due to guilt about money, making poor investment decisions from anxiety-driven states, and unconsciously attracting clients who couldn't pay their bills. When Margaret learned techniques to locate and release these stored energetic patterns, everything shifted. The trapped energy from those childhood traumas, once liberated, became tremendous creative force for building wealth. Within 18 months, Margaret had launched a highly successful legal consulting practice, tripled her income, and accumulated more wealth than she had in the previous decade combined. The energy that had been locked in limitation patterns became the fuel for her abundance creation, generational wealth wound. Perhaps the most challenging financial energy blocks are those inherited through family lineages, what I call generational wealth wound. These patterns operate like energetic DNA, passed down through family systems across generations, creating invisible limitations on financial success that feel natural and unchangeable. David's family carried a generational pattern of financial self-sabotage that traced back 5 generations to his great-great-grandfather, who had lost the family farm during the Great Depression. This traumatic loss created a deep energetic wound in the family system, an unconscious belief that when things get too good, you lose everything. This pattern manifested differently in each generation, but with consistent theme. David's great-grandfather became a compulsive saver who never invested. His grandfather worked himself to death, accumulating money he never enjoyed. His father achieved moderate success, but suffered a heart attack during his highest-earning years. And David found himself unconsciously sabotaging every business venture just as it reached profitability. The family energetic field carried the imprint of financial trauma, automatically activating protective mechanisms whenever family members approached significant success. Love, loyalty, and belonging became unconsciously associated with financial limitation, creating internal conflicts between desire for abundance and need for family connection. The transformation began when David recognized these patterns not as personal failures, but as inherited energetic programs that could be consciously released and transformed. Through specific techniques for working with generational patterns, David was able to locate the original family wound, honor the ancestral trauma while releasing its limiting effects, and transform the defensive energy into creative force. The results were profound not just for David, but for his entire family system. As David broke through the generational wealth ceiling, his siblings began experiencing their own financial breakthroughs. His teenage daughter, who had always been anxious about money, developed a natural confidence around finances. The family energetic field had been healed, liberating future generations from inherited limitation patterns. Somatic release of financial trauma, financial energy blocks, aren't just mental constructs. They're physical realities stored in the body's tissues, nervous system, and energy centers. Traditional approaches to financial healing focus primarily on changing thoughts and beliefs, but lasting transformation requires releasing the somatic imprints where traumatic financial experiences continue to live in the body. Jessica discovered this truth when she recognized that every time she considered investing money or making a large purchase, her body would contract with physical sensations of panic, racing heart, shallow breathing, muscle tension, and a feeling of impending doom. These weren't just psychological reactions. They were her body's stored memories of financial trauma being activated in present moment situations. At age 12, Jessica's family had lost their home to foreclosure. The terror, shame, and helplessness she experienced during that period had become encoded in her nervous system as somatic memories. 30 years later, any financial situation that involved risk would trigger these stored trauma responses, making it biologically impossible for Jessica to make clear financial decisions or take advantage of growth opportunities. The healing process involved what neuroscientists call somatic experiencing, techniques that allow the body to complete the traumatic activation cycles that had been frozen for decades. Instead of trying to think her way past the fear, Jessica learned to work directly with the physical sensations, allowing her nervous system to discharge the trapped survival energy. As Jessica's body released the stored financial trauma, something remarkable happened. The energy that had been locked in protective patterns became available for creative purposes. Her intuition about financial opportunities became incredibly accurate. Her capacity to take calculated risks expanded dramatically. Her overall energy levels increased as the survival stress that had been running continuously in her system finally resolved. Most importantly, Jessica discovered that the same sensitivity that had made her vulnerable to financial trauma also made her naturally gifted at sensing profitable opportunities. Her traumatic experiences, once healed, became sources of financial wisdom and intuitive intelligence. The money-heart connection. Advanced energy work reveals that many financial blocks originate not in survival concerns but in heart-centered wounds around worthiness, value, and love. Money, at its deepest level, represents energy exchange, the flow of value, appreciation, and care between beings. When this flow becomes blocked due to heart wounds, financial abundance becomes impossible regardless of external strategies or mental efforts. Patricia's money blocks originated in childhood experiences that taught her to associate receiving money with being selfish, greedy, or taking from others. Her father, struggling with his own financial limitations, had repeatedly told her that money doesn't grow on trees, and that wanting financial comfort meant she didn't appreciate what she had. These messages created energetic contractions around Patricia's heart center, making it literally painful for her to receive money or charge appropriately for her services. She became a chronic under-earner, not because she lacked ability or opportunity, but because her heart couldn't open to receive abundance without triggering shame and guilt. The transformation required healing Patricia's capacity to receive not just money, but appreciation, value, and recognition at any level. Through heart-opening practices designed to release the contractions around receiving, Patricia began to understand that financial abundance wasn't about taking from others, but about creating value and allowing natural appreciation to flow. As her heart healed, Patricia's relationship with money transformed completely. She began charging appropriately for her coaching services, attracting clients who valued her work highly, and experiencing money as a form of love and appreciation rather than a source of guilt or conflict. Her income increased tenfold, but more importantly, money became a vehicle for heart connection and service rather than a source of pain and contraction, transforming shame into abundance. Fuel. One of the most powerful transformations in financial energy work involves converting shame, the most toxic emotional frequency related to money, into creative life force energy. Shame around money creates some of the deepest energetic blocks because it attacks the very core of self-worth, making it feel dangerous to be prosperous or visible in financial success. Marcus carried deep shame about his family's bankruptcy when he was in high school, shame that had metastasized into a generalized belief that he didn't deserve financial success. This shame operated like an energetic virus, infecting every aspect of his financial life. He sabotaged opportunities, attracted financial drama, and unconsciously recreated his family's patterns of financial struggle. The transformation began when Marcus learned that shame isn't actually a feeling. It's trapped life force energy that has been compressed into a toxic frequency. Shame represents tremendous creative energy that has been inverted against itself. When properly transformed, shame becomes one of the most powerful forces for creation and abundance. Through specific energy practices, Marcus learned to locate the shame patterns in his body, feel them fully without resistance, and consciously transform the compressed energy into creative force. The process was intense but revolutionary. As Marcus alchemized his shame into power, he discovered reservoirs of creative energy he never knew he possessed. The results were extraordinary. Marcus launched 3 successful businesses within 2 years, each one more innovative and profitable than the last. The same sensitivity that had made him vulnerable to shame made him incredibly intuitive about market needs and opportunities. His capacity for empathy, born from his own financial struggles, made him a magnetic leader who naturally attracted loyal teams and devoted customers. Marcus's deepest wound had become his greatest gift. Energy center activation for wealth creation. Financial energy blocks often concentrate in specific energy centers of the body, creating patterns of stagnation that prevent the natural flow of creative life force. By learning to identify and activate these centers, you can transform blocked energy into powerful generators of abundance consciousness. The first energy center, located at the base of the spine, governs survival energy and basic security. When blocked by financial trauma, this center creates chronic anxiety about survival, hoarding behaviors, and inability to take risks necessary for growth. When activated and flowing freely, it generates tremendous creative power and unshakable confidence in your ability to create resources. The second energy center, located below the navel, governs creativity, sexuality, and personal power. Financial blocks here manifest as guilt about money, inability to receive abundance, and feeling disempowered in financial negotiations. When liberated, this center becomes a powerhouse of creative manifestation and magnetic attraction of opportunities. The third energy center, located at the solar plexus, governs personal will and self-esteem. Blocks here create patterns of financial self-sabotage, inability to charge appropriately for services, and chronic under-earning. When activated, this center generates unstoppable determination and natural leadership abilities that attract wealth creation opportunities. The fourth energy center, at the heart, governs love, connection, and service. Heart blocks around money create chronic under-earning, guilt about prosperity, and difficulty receiving abundance. When opened, the heart becomes a magnetic field for abundance that flows through service and value creation. Sarah learned to work systematically with each energy center, identifying where her financial blocks were stored and using specific practices to activate and liberate the trapped energy. As each center came online, her capacity for wealth creation expanded exponentially. More importantly, her relationship with money transformed from fear-based survival into heart-centered service and creative expression. The alchemy of financial transformation. The ultimate goal of financial energy work isn't just removing blocks. It's transforming the very energy of limitation into fuel for abundance creation. This alchemical process requires understanding that every energetic block contains within it the seed of its own transformation. Your deepest financial wounds carry the blueprint for your greatest abundance. This transformation occurs through what ancient traditions called spiritual alchemy, the conscious transmutation of dense energies into refined frequencies. When you learn to embrace and transform your financial shadows instead of trying to eliminate them, you discover that they contain tremendous creative potential that has been locked away. The process requires courage, compassion, and proper technique. You must be willing to feel your financial wounds fully, to understand their messages, and to consciously choose transformation over perpetual wounding. When approached correctly, this work doesn't just heal your financial blocks. It liberates the tremendous life force energy that has been imprisoned in limitation patterns. The result is not just financial abundance, but a complete transformation of your relationship with life itself. You become someone who naturally creates value, serves others powerfully, and allows abundance to flow through you as a force for good in the world. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to embody the internal state of prosperity before it manifests externally, learning to think, feel, and act from abundance consciousness, even when current circumstances don't yet reflect your desired reality. This is the final key to becoming a true money magnet. Chapter 7. The State of Being Prosperous. How to think, feel, and act from abundance before it manifests. So what if the secret to creating wealth isn't about doing more, but about being different? Most people approach prosperity backwards. They wait for external circumstances to change before they allow themselves to feel wealthy. They think they need to have money before they can act confident, achieve success before they feel worthy, or see results before they believe in possibilities. But this approach keeps them trapped in an endless cycle of limitation because they're trying to create a new reality from the same state of being that created their current circumstances. The revolutionary truth that transforms everything is this: your state of being is the cause, not the effect, of your financial reality. When you learn to embody prosperity consciousness before external evidence appears, you become a walking magnet for abundance. You don't attract wealth, you become wealth, and the material world reorganizes itself to match your internal reality. This isn't positive thinking or wishful fantasy. This is applied quantum physics. The state of being you embody broadcasts a specific electromagnetic frequency that literally organizes the quantum field to create experiences that match your internal vibration. When you master the art of being prosperous before you become prosperous, you collapse the time between intention and manifestation. The neurobiology of wealth identity. Caroline discovered this principle when she realized that despite working in wealth management for over a decade, she felt like an imposter around truly wealthy clients. Even though she understood financial strategies intellectually, her nervous system carried the identity of someone who struggled with money, someone who felt anxious about spending, guilty about earning, and uncertain about financial decisions. The transformation began when Caroline learned that your sense of identity isn't just psychological, it's neurobiological. Every time you think, "I am someone who quals," your brain activates specific neural networks that generate the thoughts, emotions, and behaviors that align with that identity. If you identify as someone who struggles financially, your brain automatically generates scarcity-based thoughts, anxiety-driven emotions, and limitation-reinforcing behaviors. Caroline began practicing what neuroscientists call identity rehearsal, spending time each day embodying the neural patterns of someone who was naturally prosperous. Instead of trying to think positive thoughts about money, she focused on generating the internal experience of being someone for whom abundance was natural, obvious, and effortless. She would sit quietly and imagine how a naturally wealthy person would feel waking up in the morning. What would their internal sense of security feel like? How would they move through their day? What kind of confidence would they carry? What emotions would they feel when making financial decisions? The key was not pretending or forcing positive feelings, but rather accessing the authentic internal experience of prosperity consciousness. Caroline discovered that when she aligned her nervous system with wealth identity, her external reality began shifting immediately. Client interactions became more natural and confident. Financial opportunities appeared that she had never noticed before. Her income increased dramatically, but more importantly, money became a comfortable, natural aspect of her life, rather than a source of stress and uncertainty. Caroline had learned to be wealthy before becoming wealthy, and the external world responded by matching her internal state of being. Embodied abundance. Beyond mental concepts, most approaches to wealth creation remain trapped at the level of mental concepts, thinking differently about money, visualizing success, or repeating affirmations. But true abundance consciousness operates at the level of embodied experience. It's not enough to think wealthy thoughts. You must feel wealthy in your body, move with the energy of prosperity, and emanate the frequency of abundance through every cell of your being. Marcus experienced this shift when he moved beyond intellectual understanding of abundance to full-body embodiment of prosperity consciousness. Instead of just visualizing wealth, Marcus learned to feel what abundance actually felt like in his physical body, the relaxed confidence in his shoulders, the steady calmness in his breathing, the warm expansion in his chest, the grounded stability in his leg. This wasn't acting or pretending. It was accessing the authentic somatic experience of prosperity consciousness. Marcus discovered that wealthy consciousness had its own distinct feeling signature, its own energetic texture, its own way of moving through the world. When he learned to embody this signature consistently, his entire relationship with money transformed. Business decisions that had previously caused anxiety became clear and natural. Investment opportunities that he would have missed due to fear became obvious choices. His energy in professional settings shifted dramatically. Clients and colleagues began responding to him with increased respect and trust. Marcus was literally broadcasting the electromagnetic frequency of success through his embodied presence. The results were remarkable. Within 18 months, Marcus had launched a successful consulting firm, attracted high-level clients he never could have imagined working with, and created multiple streams of income that continued growing effortlessly. But the most significant change wasn't in his bank account. It was in his fundamental relationship with life itself. Marcus had become someone for whom prosperity was a natural expression rather than a difficult achievement. The heart-brain coherence of abundance. Advanced research reveals that peak manifestation occurs when your heart and brain achieve coherent electromagnetic synchronization around your desired outcome. This isn't just metaphorical, it's measurable science. When your heart generates coherent electromagnetic patterns while focusing on abundance, it creates what researchers call psychophysiological coherence, a state that dramatically amplifies your ability to influence material reality. Most people experience internal conflict around money. Part of them wants wealth, while another part feels guilty, unworthy, or afraid. This internal contradictions creates electromagnetic chaos that actually prevents manifestation. True prosperity consciousness requires complete internal alignment, where every aspect of your being resonates with abundance. Jennifer achieved this alignment when she learned to generate authentic heart coherence around her financial goals. Instead of just thinking about wealth, Jennifer learned to feel genuine gratitude, joy, and love for her abundant future, while simultaneously holding clear intentions about specific financial outcomes. The practice began with Jennifer placing her hand on her heart and breathing slowly while cultivating feelings of appreciation for abundance that hadn't yet manifested. She would feel grateful for the freedom, security, and opportunities that wealth would provide, experiencing these emotions as if they were already her reality. As her heart opened to abundance, Jennifer noticed her brain naturally generating creative solutions to financial challenges. Ideas for new income streams emerged spontaneously. Opportunities appeared that perfectly matched her skills and interests. Business relationships formed naturally and effortlessly. Jennifer had created internal coherence around prosperity, and external reality began organizing itself to match her coherent state. The key was maintaining this coherence consistently, not just during meditation, but throughout her daily activities. Jennifer learned to approach financial decisions from heart coherence, to interact with money from a state of grateful abundance, and to think about her financial future from genuine appreciation rather than anxiety or desperation. Walking in wealth consciousness, one of the most powerful practices for embodying prosperity. Consciousness is what I call walking in wealth consciousness, learning to move through the world as if you are already the person you intend to become. This isn't about external appearance or superficial changes, but about embodying the internal frequency of success in your daily movements and interactions. Robert discovered this principle when he realized that despite visualizing abundance regularly, his body language, energy, and presence still broadcast limitation. He walked like someone who was struggling, spoke like someone who was uncertain, and carried himself like someone who didn't belong in prosperous environments. The transformation began when Robert started consciously embodying the physicality of prosperity. How would someone who felt naturally abundant walk? What kind of posture would they maintain? How would they speak? What energy would they bring into rooms? How would they handle everyday interactions? Robert began practicing prosperity posture, walking with the confident stride of someone who felt secure and successful. He practiced speaking with the calm authority of someone who was accustomed to abundance. He learned to enter rooms with the relaxed presence of someone who belonged in any environment. This wasn't fake confidence or surface-level changes. It was accessing the authentic physical expression of prosperity consciousness. Robert discovered that when he embodied wealth in his physical presence, people responded to him completely differently. Opportunities appeared that had never been available before. Business relationships formed more easily. His income increased dramatically as clients and partners began perceiving him as someone operating at a higher level of success. Most remarkably, Robert found that embodying prosperity consciousness physically actually changed his internal experience. The external posture of abundance began generating the internal feelings of confidence, security, and worthiness. His body was teaching his mind what prosperity felt like. creating an upward spiral of expanding abundance consciousness. Future memory installation, perhaps the most advanced technique for embodying prosperity consciousness, involves creating what neuroscientists call prospective memory, detailed internal experiences of your abundant future that are so vivid and emotionally charged that your brain begins treating them as actual memories of events that have already occurred. This technique leverages the brain's inability to distinguish between vividly imagined experiences and actual memories. When you create sufficiently detailed and emotionally engaging mental rehearsals of your prosperous future, your neural networks begin organizing themselves around these future memories, automatically generating thoughts, emotions, and behaviors that align with your abundant identity. Christina mastered this technique by spending 30 minutes each morning creating detailed mental experiences of her ideal, financially abundant life. But these weren't passive daydreams. They were active, sensory-rich installations of future memories. Christina would mentally rehearse walking through her dream home, feeling the textures of luxury finishes, smelling the fresh flowers in her garden, hearing the sounds of success in her thriving business. She would imagine specific conversations with clients, the feeling of signing major contracts, the satisfaction of making significant charitable contributions, the joy of providing generously for her family. The key was making these mental rehearsals more vivid and emotionally engaging than her current reality. Christina engaged all her senses and, most importantly, generated the authentic emotions she would feel when living this abundant life: gratitude, joy, fulfillment, freedom, and deep satisfaction. After 6 months of consistent future memory installation, Christina's current reality began matching her installed memories. Business opportunities appeared that aligned perfectly with her visualized success. The income streams she had imagined began manifesting in her actual life. Relationships formed that supported her vision of abundance. Christina's future memories were becoming her present reality, the electromagnetic signature of success. When you consistently embody prosperity consciousness, you begin generating a specific electromagnetic signature that literally attracts abundant experiences from the quantum field. This signature is created by the combination of your thoughts, electrical charge, and emotion, magnetic charge, aligning around abundance. Most people unknowingly broadcast mixed or contradictory electromagnetic signals about money, wanting abundance while feeling unworthy, visualizing success while experiencing anxiety, affirming prosperity while harboring limiting beliefs. These conflicting signals create electromagnetic interference that prevents clear manifestation. True prosperity consciousness requires electromagnetic coherence, every aspect of your being aligned and broadcasting the same abundant frequency. When achieved, this coherence creates what I call wealth magnetism, a state where financial opportunities are naturally drawn to you because your energy field has become irresistibly attractive to prosperity frequencies. David achieved this coherence through consistent practice of prosperity consciousness. Instead of having parts of his mind focused on scarcity, while other parts visualized abundance, David learned to align his entire being around wealth consciousness. His thoughts, emotions, and physical presence all broadcast the same successful frequency. The transformation was remarkable. David's business decisions became incredibly intuitive and profitable. He found himself naturally gravitating toward successful people who became mentors and partners. Investment opportunities appeared that were perfectly aligned with his expertise. David had become a walking magnet for abundance because his electromagnetic signature was coherently tuned to prosperity. Living from the future present, the ultimate mastery of prosperity consciousness involves learning to live consistently from what I call the future present, a state where your abundant future becomes more real and compelling than your current circumstances. In this state, you don't wait for external evidence to feel wealthy. You feel wealthy because you're living from the reality of your abundant future. This isn't denial or escapism. It's conscious choice about which reality you give your creative energy to. When you consistently choose to live from your abundant future, rather than your limited past, you literally reshape the present moment to match your expanded consciousness. Sarah achieved this state when she stopped allowing her current circumstances to determine her emotional and mental state. Despite facing significant financial challenges, Sarah chose to live each day from the feeling and perspective of her successfully abundant future self. She would wake each morning and consciously choose to feel the gratitude, confidence, and joy of her future abundant life. She made decisions from this elevated perspective rather than from her current limitations. She interacted with money from future abundance rather than present scarcity. She approached opportunities from success consciousness rather than survival mode. The results were swift and dramatic. Sarah's energy became magnetic to opportunities and people who could support her transformation. Creative solutions to her financial challenges appeared that she never could have imagined from her previous limited perspective. Within months, Sarah's external reality had transformed to match the future present from which she had been consistently living. Living from the future present isn't about ignoring current reality. It's about choosing which reality gets to be the creative template for your expanding life. When you master this choice, you become truly unstoppable in creating the abundant life of your deepest desires. In the next chapter, we'll explore how this embodied prosperity consciousness naturally creates financial magnetism, the phenomenon where money, opportunities, and resources begin flowing to you with increasing ease and frequency. You'll discover the specific techniques for maintaining this magnetic state consistently, regardless of external circumstances. Chapter 8. Financial Magnetism. Creating an irresistible energetic field that attracts opportunities and resources naturally. What if you could become so energetically attractive that money, opportunities, and resources would seek you out instead of you having to chase them? This is the phenomenon I call financial magnetism, a state of being where your energy field becomes so coherent and attractive that wealth literally organizes itself around you. It's not about working harder or being smarter than everyone else. It's about creating an electromagnetic signature that naturally draws prosperity to you, like iron filings to a magnet. Financial magnetism operates on a simple but profound principle. The energy field around your body is constantly broadcasting information about who you are and what you expect from life. When this field becomes coherent and aligned with abundance consciousness, it creates what quantum physicists call entrainment, a phenomenon where everything in your environment begins organizing itself to match your dominant frequency. People with natural financial magnetism don't chase opportunities. Opportunities chase them. They don't force success. Success flows to them naturally. They don't struggle for abundance. Abundance seeks them out. This isn't luck or privilege. It's applied science of consciousness and energy that anyone can learn and master. The science of energetic attraction. Dr. Sarah Chen discovered financial magnetism in the most unexpected way. Despite having multiple advanced degrees and working as a research scientist for 15 years, she struggled financially and felt invisible in professional settings. Colleagues with less expertise consistently received better opportunities, larger grants, and more recognition. Sarah thought success was about credentials and hard work, but something was clearly missing from her formula. The breakthrough came when Sarah learned about the electromagnetic fields that surround every human body. These fields, measurable up to 8 feet from the physical body, are constantly broadcasting information about your internal state, your beliefs, your expectations, and your relationship with various aspects of life, including money. Sarah realized that despite her intellectual capabilities, her energy field was broadcasting limitation, uncertainty, and scarcity conscious. When she entered rooms, people unconsciously sensed her internal state of financial struggle and responded accordingly. She was literally repelling the very opportunities she desperately wanted to attract. The transformation began when Sarah learned to consciously generate coherent electromagnetic fields that broadcast abundance, confidence, and value. Instead of trying to convince people of her worth through credentials and achievements, Sarah focused on emanating the energy signature of someone who was naturally successful and prosperous. The changes were immediate and dramatic. Within weeks, Sarah began receiving invitations to high-level conferences she had never been considered for before. Research opportunities appeared that perfectly matched her interests and expertise. Funding sources emerged from unexpected directions. Most remarkably, Sarah's energy had become so magnetically attractive that people began seeking her out for collaboration and consultation. Within 18 months, Sarah had launched a successful consulting firm, doubled her income through speaking engagements, and attracted research funding that exceeded anything she had imagined possible. She had become a walking magnet for professional and financial opportunities. The electromagnetic field of prosperity. Your body is surrounded by measurable electromagnetic fields that extend approximately 8 feet in all directions. These fields are generated by the electrical activity of your nervous system, the beating of your heart, and the quantum activity of every cell in your body. But these fields don't just exist. They're constantly transmitting information about your internal state to everyone and everything around you. When you feel abundant, confident, and prosperous, your electromagnetic field generates coherent patterns that broadcast these qualities. People unconsciously sense this energy signature and respond with respect, opportunities, and resources. When you feel scarce, anxious, or uncertain about money, your field broadcasts these limitations, and people respond accordingly, often avoiding, overlooking, or undervaluing. Most people are completely unconscious of the signals they're broadcasting through their energy fields. They wonder why they're not attracting the opportunities they want, while unknowingly transmitting the exact frequency that repels those opportunities. Financial magnetism begins with conscious awareness and deliberate cultivation of your electromagnetic signature. Marcus experienced this transformation when he learned that his chronic anxiety about money was literally broadcasted through his energy field, making him energetically unattractive to prosperous people and profitable opportunities. Despite his business skills and market knowledge, Marcus consistently struggled to attract high-level clients and lucrative contracts. The healing began when Marcus learned specific techniques for generating coherent, attractive energy fields. Instead of allowing his financial anxiety to dominate his electromagnetic signature, Marcus practiced cultivating and broadcasting the energy states of confidence, abundance, and value. The technique involved what researchers call heart-brain coherence, a state where the electromagnetic fields of the heart and brain synchronize around positive emotions and clear intentions. When Marcus achieved this coherent state while focusing on his business goals, his entire energetic presence transformed. The results were swift and remarkable. Marcus began attracting ideal clients who valued his expertise and paid premium rates for his services. Business partnerships formed naturally with successful entrepreneurs who recognized Marcus's elevated energy signature. Investment opportunities appeared that aligned perfectly with his knowledge and interests. Marcus had learned to broadcast the electromagnetic frequency of success, and the world responded by matching that frequency with abundant opportunities. Synchronicity, the language of financial magnetism. when your energy field becomes magnetically aligned with abundance. One of the first signs is the appearance of synchronicities, meaningful coincidences that seem to defy logical explanation but perfectly support your financial goals. These synchronicities aren't random luck. They're the quantum field organizing circumstances to match your coherent energy signature. Synchronicities are how the unified field communicates with you, showing you that your consciousness is successfully influencing the organization of matter and energy around you. When you see increasing synchronicities related to money and opportunities, you know your financial magnetism is becoming active and effective. Jennifer began noticing synchronicities within weeks of practicing energy field coherence techniques. She would think about needing a specific type of client, and the next day someone matching that exact description would contact her unexpectedly. She would visualize a certain income goal, and opportunities would appear that precisely led to that amount. She would feel grateful for abundance, and unexpected checks or refunds would arrive in her mailbox. These synchronicities weren't coincidences. They were evidence that Jennifer's consciousness was successfully organizing the quantum field around her financial intentions. Her energy field had become so coherent and attractive that the universe was responding with precision and abundance. The key was maintaining coherent energy states consistently, not just during meditation or visualization, but throughout daily activities. Jennifer learned to broadcast abundance consciousness while checking email, making phone calls, attending meetings, and even running errands. Her entire life became a practice of financial magnetism, the coherence amplification effect. Financial magnetism reaches its peak when all aspects of your being achieve coherent alignment around prosperity consciousness. This includes your thoughts, emotions, physical presence, and energy field, all broadcasting the same abundant frequency. When this coherence is achieved, it creates what I call amplification effect. Your attractive power becomes exponentially stronger. In this coherent state, you become what researchers call a bioelectromagnetic attractor, a living magnet that naturally organizes people, circumstances, and resources around your financial intentions. Your presence alone begins influencing environments toward opportunity and abundance. Robert achieved this coherent amplification when he learned to align every aspect of his being around prosperity consciousness. Instead of having parts of his mind focused on abundance, while other parts worried about security, Robert developed complete internal coherence around financial success. This coherence manifested in multiple dimensions. Robert's thoughts automatically focused on opportunities and possibilities rather than problems and limitations. His emotions naturally generated confidence, gratitude, and excitement about his financial future. His physical presence projected success and competence. His energy field broadcast clear signals of value, abundance, and capability. The transformation in Robert's external reality was remarkable. Business opportunities began appearing faster than he could pursue them all. High-level partnerships formed naturally with minimal effort. His income streams multiplied and diversified automatically. Most importantly, Robert found himself naturally gravitating toward wealthy, successful people who welcomed him into their networks and collaborations. Robert had become a coherent prosperity generator, and abundance flowed to him from multiple directions simultaneously. Collective field entrainment. One of the most powerful aspects of financial magnetism is how it affects not just individual circumstances, but entire environments and communities. When you generate coherent abundance consciousness, your energy field begins influencing others around you to entrain with higher frequencies of success and prosperity. This phenomenon explains why successful people naturally attract other successful people, and why prosperity tends to cluster in certain individuals, families, and communities. Coherent energy fields are contagious. They elevate the consciousness and opportunities of everyone within their sphere of influence. Lisa discovered this collective effect when her personal practice of financial magnetism began transforming not only her own circumstances, but those of her family, friends, and business associates. As Lisa's energy field became more coherent and abundant, people around her began experiencing unexpected financial improvements, career breakthroughs, and business successes. Lisa's teenage daughter, who had always struggled with money anxiety, began developing natural confidence around finances. Lisa's business partner noticed that their shared ventures became more profitable and attracted better opportunities. Even Lisa's neighbors reported improved financial circumstances during the period of Lisa's transformation. This wasn't coincidence. It was the natural result of coherent energy field entrainment. Lisa's abundantly aligned electromagnetic signature was literally elevating the prosperity consciousness of everyone in her environment, creating a collective field of financial magnetism that benefited all participants. The vortex effect. At the highest levels of financial magnetism, you become what I call a prosperity vortex, a spinning organized energy field that naturally draws resources, opportunities, and abundance into your experience with increasing velocity and magnitude. In this state, you don't just attract opportunities, you become the center around which prosperity organizes itself. The vortex effect occurs when your consciousness achieves such coherent alignment with abundance that you begin operating as a focal point for the quantum field's organizing intelligence. Money, opportunities, and resources begin flowing to you, not because you're seeking them, but because your energy signature has become the natural gathering point for prosperity frequencies. David experienced the vortex effect when his practice of financial magnetism reached a tipping point of coherent intensity. Instead of individual opportunities appearing randomly, David began experiencing coordinated streams of abundance that built upon each other in accelerating pattern. A single business contact led to 3 major contracts, which led to 7 strategic partnerships, which led to multiple investment opportunities, which led to international expansion possibilities, all within a 6-month period. Each opportunity seemed to catalyze the next, creating a self-reinforcing cycle of expanding prosperity. David realized he had become a living vortex for financial abundance. His energy field was so coherently aligned with prosperity that the quantum field was using him as an organizing center for wealth creation on an increasingly grand scale. David's individual success was becoming a focal point that generated prosperity for everyone connected to his expanding network. Maintaining magnetic coherence. The most challenging aspect of financial magnetism isn't creating it initially. It's maintaining coherent energy states consistently over time, especially when external circumstances seem to contradict your abundant intention. True mastery of financial magnetism requires developing what I call energetic integrity, the ability to maintain prosperity consciousness regardless of temporary appearances. This requires understanding that your energy field is always broadcasting, not just during meditation or visualization, but constantly throughout your daily life. Every thought about money, every emotional response to financial circumstances, every interaction related to resources is either strengthening or weakening your magnetic field. Financial magnetism masters learn to monitor and maintain their energy signature continuously. They become consciously aware of when their field shifts towards scarcity or limitation and immediately redirect their consciousness back to abundance frequencies. They treat their energy field like a precious instrument that requires constant tuning and care. The reward for this consistent practice is the development of what I call magnetic presence, a quality of being that naturally attracts abundance wherever you go. You become someone that opportunities seek out, resources flow toward, and success naturally surround. Your very presence becomes a catalyst for prosperity in any environment. This magnetic presence isn't about charisma or personality. It's about energetic coherence. When your consciousness is consistently aligned with abundance, your electromagnetic signature becomes irresistibly attractive to everything that resonates with prosperity consciousness. Financial magnetism represents the ultimate integration of consciousness and creation. When you master the art of broadcasting coherent abundance frequencies through your energy field, you transform from someone who seeks prosperity into someone that prosperity seeks. You become a living attractor of wealth, opportunities, and resources, not through manipulation or force, but through the natural magnetic power of aligned consciousness. In the next chapter, we'll explore how gratitude serves as the ultimate portal for abundance, the emotional frequency that accelerates financial manifestation beyond all other states. You'll discover why feeling genuinely grateful for wealth before it appears creates the fastest and most sustainable path to prosperity. Chapter 9. Gratitude as the portal of abundance. Using the most powerful manifesting emotion to accelerate your financial results. What if I told you that there's one emotion so powerful it can instantly collapse the time between your financial intention and its physical manifestation? That emotion is gratitude, but not the superficial kind of thankfulness you might express at a holiday table. I'm talking about a profound, embodied state of appreciation that operates as a quantum portal, literally opening doorways between your current financial reality and the abundance that awaits in the quantum field of infinite possibilities. Gratitude is the emotional signature of someone who has already received what they desired. When you feel genuinely grateful for something, you're not hoping it will happen. You're appreciating that it has happened. This is why gratitude is the ultimate manifestation accelerator. It broadcasts the energetic frequency of completion, signaling to the quantum field that your desired outcome is accomplished. Most people wait to feel grateful until after they receive what they want. But this approach keeps them trapped in limitation because they're making their internal state dependent on external circumstances. True abundance consciousness operates in reverse. You feel grateful first, and then the universe organizes itself to match your grateful appreciation with corresponding experiences. The neuroscience of gratitude manifestation. Dr. Amanda Rodriguez discovered the manifestation power of gratitude in the most challenging circumstances imaginable. After losing her medical practice due to a malpractice lawsuit that bankrupted her, Amanda faced the prospect of starting over at age 45 with crushing debt and a damaged reputation. Traditional approaches to rebuilding her career seemed impossibly slow and uncertain. The transformation began when Amanda learned about the neuroscience of gratitude and its effect on brain function. Research reveals that gratitude activates multiple neural networks simultaneously, areas responsible for reward processing, social connection, emotional regulation, and memory formation. But most remarkably, gratitude activates the same brain regions that fire when you actually receive something desirable. This means that when you feel genuinely grateful for financial abundance that hasn't yet manifested, your brain begins generating the same neural patterns it would create if you were already wealthy. Your nervous system literally cannot distinguish between a gratitude-based visualization of abundance and the actual experience of prosperity. Amanda began practicing what she called pre-manifestation gratitude, feeling deeply thankful for the financial recovery that hadn't yet occurred. Every morning she would spend 30 minutes feeling genuine appreciation for the successful medical practice she intended to rebuild, the financial security she planned to create, and the professional reputation she was determined to restore. The key was generating authentic gratitude, not forced positive thinking. Amanda learned to feel the same deep appreciation for her unmanifested abundance as she would feel for any precious gift she had already received. This wasn't pretending or self-deception. It was accessing the emotional frequency of someone who had already achieved their financial goals. The results were swift and dramatic. Within 6 months, Amanda had attracted 3 different opportunities to restart her medical career, secured funding to launch a new practice, and began earning more than she had at the peak of her previous success. But the most profound change wasn't in her external circumstances. It was in her relationship with abundance itself. Amanda had learned to live from gratitude rather than waiting for gratitude, and the quantum field responded by manifesting experiences that matched her grateful appreciation. The electromagnetic field of appreciation gratitude generates one of the most powerful and coherent electromagnetic fields that the human heart can produce. When you feel genuine appreciation, your heart enters what researchers call high coherence, a state where the electrical activity of the heart creates organized sine wave patterns that can be measured up to 8 feet from your body. This coherent heart field doesn't just affect your internal physiology. It broadcasts into the quantum field as a clear signal of receptivity and completion. When you're truly grateful, you're energetically announcing that you've received what you desire, and the universe responds by organizing circumstances to match your grateful state. Most people experience gratitude as a fleeting emotion triggered by external events. But gratitude consciousness operates as a sustained state of being, a continuous appreciation for life's abundance that exists independently of circumstances. When you master this sustained gratitude, you become a living magnet for experiences that justify and amplify your appreciation. Michael experienced this transformation when he shifted from circumstance-dependent gratitude to choice-based appreciation. Instead of waiting for good things to happen before feeling thankful, Michael began each day by consciously generating gratitude for his life, his potential, and his unfolding abundance. This practice initially felt forced and artificial, but Michael persisted until gratitude became his natural emotional baseline. As his heart field became consistently coherent through sustained appreciation, his external reality began shifting in remarkable ways. Business opportunities appeared that perfectly matched Michael's skills and interests. Financial investments that had been stagnant for years suddenly became profitable. Relationships improved as people were naturally drawn to Michael's appreciative energy. Most significantly, Michael found himself naturally attracting wealthy, generous people who became mentors and partners in expanding his prosperity. Michael had discovered that gratitude isn't just a response to abundance. It's a generator of abundance that creates the very experiences for which you can then be grateful. The receiving state, perhaps the most profound aspect of gratitude consciousness, is how it opens what I call the receiving state, a condition of energetic receptivity that allows abundance to flow to you effortlessly. Most people unknowingly block abundance through resistance, doubt, unworthiness, or attachment to specific outcomes. Gratitude dissolves all these barriers by establishing perfect alignment between your consciousness and the natural flow of prosperity. When you're truly grateful, you're not grasping, forcing, or demanding. You're in a state of open, appreciative receptivity that allows the universe's abundance to reach you without obstruction. Gratitude creates energetic space for miracles to occur because you're not trying to control how abundance appears. You're simply appreciating that it does appear. Sarah discovered this receiving state when she realized that her years of affirmations, visualizations, and manifestation techniques had actually been creating resistance to abundance rather than attracting it. Despite her conscious desires for wealth, Sarah's underlying energy was one of lack, effort, and need, all of which broadcast scarcity to the quantum field. The breakthrough came when Sarah abandoned all manifestation techniques and simply practiced gratitude for abundance as if it were already fully present in her life. Instead of trying to attract money, Sarah appreciated the wealth that surrounded her, the free air she breathed, the magnificent sunset she witnessed, the loving relationships she enjoyed, the creative opportunities available to her. As Sarah's consciousness shifted from seeking abundance to appreciating abundance, her external circumstances began reflecting this internal change. Unexpected income appeared through forgotten accounts and past investments. Business opportunities emerged that required no effort or striving on her part. Financial gifts and windfalls arrived through channels Sarah never could have anticipated. Sarah had learned to become a perfect receiver by embodying the energetic state of someone who was already abundantly blessed. Her gratitude had opened the floodgates of prosperity. Gratitude and quantum entanglement advanced quantum physics reveals that gratitude creates what scientists call non-local correlation, a mysterious connection between your consciousness and the abundance potentials that exist in the quantum field. When you feel genuinely grateful for financial prosperity, you become quantum entangled with the wealth frequencies that match your appreciative state. This entanglement means that your grateful consciousness begins influencing the organization of energy and matter in ways that transcend space and time. Your appreciation literally reaches into the quantum field and begins attracting the physical experiences that correspond to your grateful emotions. The key is understanding that gratitude works backwards through time. When you feel genuinely thankful for abundance that hasn't yet manifested in linear time, your appreciation reaches back from the future into your present moment, creating a quantum bridge that allows prosperity to flow from potential into actuality. David experienced this quantum entanglement when his gratitude practice began producing synchronicities that seemed to defy logical explanation. David would feel deeply grateful for specific financial outcomes, and within days, circumstances would align in ways that led to exactly those results. When David appreciated potential business partnerships, ideal partners would contact him unexpectedly. When David felt thankful for increased income, new revenue streams would appear through channels he had never considered. When David expressed gratitude for investment opportunities, profitable possibilities would present themselves with perfect timing. David realized that his gratitude was creating quantum correlations between his consciousness and the abundance frequencies in the field. His appreciation was literally organizing reality to match his grateful expectations. The amplification effect of collective gratitude. One of the most powerful applications of gratitude consciousness involves creating collective fields of appreciation that amplify individual manifestation abilities exponentially. When groups of people generate gratitude simultaneously, their coherent heart fields begin synchronizing and creating what researchers call field effects that can influence entire communities and regions. This principle explains why abundance tends to cluster in certain families, communities, and cultures that maintain strong traditions of gratitude and appreciation. Collective gratitude creates energetic fields that support the prosperity of all participants while attracting resources and opportunities to the entire group. Lisa discovered this amplification effect when she organized a small group of friends to practice gratitude together for their collective financial success. Instead of each person focusing on individual goals, the group generated appreciation for the success and abundance of all members simultaneously. The results exceeded everyone's expectations. Within months, every member of the group experienced significant financial breakthroughs, new jobs, business successes, investment gains, and unexpected windfalls. But more remarkably, the abundance seemed to create a positive feedback loop where each person's success amplified the prosperity of the others. Lisa's real estate business flourished as other group members referred high-quality clients. Tom's consulting practice expanded when Lisa introduced him to her successful business contacts. Maria's startup received funding through connections that emerged from the group's collective network. The gratitude circle had created a prosperity ecosystem where everyone's abundance supported everyone else's wealth creation. Daily gratitude architecture. Mastering gratitude consciousness requires understanding that appreciation isn't just an occasional practice. It's an architectural foundation for abundant living. True gratitude practitioners learn to structure their entire day around appreciation, creating what I call gratitude architecture. Systematic approaches to maintaining abundant consciousness consistently. This architecture begins the moment you wake and continues throughout every activity of your day. You wake with gratitude for the day's possibility. You eat with appreciation for nourishment and abundance. You work with thankfulness for opportunities to create value. You interact with others from appreciation for connection and collaboration. You end each day grateful for experiences, growth, and expanding abundance. The key is making gratitude your default emotional state rather than just a practice you do occasionally. When appreciation becomes your natural way of perceiving life, you live in continuous alignment with abundance frequencies, and prosperity becomes your natural experience rather than something you have to try to create. Robert mastered this gratitude architecture by creating what he called appreciation anchors throughout his day. Every hour, Robert would pause for 60 seconds to feel genuine gratitude for some aspect of his life and financial future. These brief but consistent appreciation practices kept Robert's consciousness aligned with abundance, regardless of external circumstances. This sustained gratitude practice transformed Robert's entire relationship with money and opportunity. Instead of experiencing financial stress or anxiety, Robert found himself naturally optimistic and confident about his prosperity. Business decisions became clear and inspired. Investment opportunities appeared that aligned perfectly with his resources and interests. Robert's consistent gratitude had created a living field of abundance that continuously attracted wealth creation experiences. The gratitude vortex. At the highest levels of gratitude mastery, appreciation becomes what I call a gratitude vortex, a spinning organized field of thankfulness that naturally draws abundance from all directions with increasing velocity and magnitude. In this state, you become a center of appreciation around which prosperity organizes itself automatically. The vortex effect occurs when your gratitude achieves such intensity and consistency that it begins operating as a self-reinforcing system. Your appreciation attracts experiences that give you more to appreciate, which amplifies your gratitude, which attracts even greater abundance, creating an ascending spiral of expanding prosperity. Jennifer reached this vortex state when her gratitude practice evolved from a daily technique into a continuous way of being. Jennifer's appreciation became so natural and profound that she found herself genuinely grateful for everything in her experience, challenges as well as blessings, difficulties as well as successes. This unconditional gratitude created an extraordinary magnetic field around Jennifer's life. Opportunities appeared faster than she could pursue them all. People were naturally drawn to contribute to her success and prosperity. Resources flowed to her from unexpected directions. Jennifer's gratitude vortex had become so powerful that abundance was organizing itself around her with increasing momentum and magnitude. Most remarkably, Jennifer discovered that her gratitude vortex was influencing everyone in her environment toward greater prosperity. Her family members began experiencing financial improvements. Her business associates attracted better opportunities. Even strangers who interacted with Jennifer briefly reported improvements in their circumstances afterwards. Jennifer had become a living generator of abundance consciousness, and everyone touched by her grateful appreciation was lifted toward greater prosperity. Gratitude is far more than a positive emotion. It's the master key that unlocks the quantum field of infinite abundance. When you learn to live from genuine appreciation, rather than waiting for external reasons to be grateful, you align yourself with the fundamental creative force of the universe and become an irresistible magnet for every form of prosperity. In our final chapter, we'll explore how to integrate all these abundance principles into your daily life, creating a sustainable lifestyle of prosperity consciousness that continues expanding your wealth and fulfillment for years to come. Chapter 10. Living as a Money Magnet, Integrating the Energy of Abundance into Every Aspect of Your Daily Life. What if every moment of your life could become an opportunity to deepen your magnetic attraction to abundance? This is the ultimate integration, transforming yourself from someone who occasionally practices abundance techniques into someone who lives as a walking embodiment of prosperity consciousness. Living as a money magnet means that every aspect of your daily experience becomes an expression of wealth consciousness. How you wake up, how you eat, how you work, how you interact with others, and how you move through the world. This isn't about performing abundance rituals or following complex manifestation protocols. It's about becoming so aligned with prosperity consciousness that abundance naturally flows through every area of your life without effort or struggle. When you achieve this integration, you don't have to try to attract money. You become the kind of person that money naturally seeks out and supports. The journey from scarcity consciousness to money magnetism isn't just about changing your financial situation. It's about fundamentally transforming your relationship with life itself, discovering that abundance isn't something you have to create. It's something you allow by removing the internal barriers that have been blocking its natural flow. The architecture of abundant living. Rachel discovered what it means to live as a money magnet when she realized that her approach to abundance had been compartmentalized and inconsistent. She would practice gratitude during morning meditation, visualize wealth during designated manifestation time, and affirm prosperity while driving to work. But the rest of her day was filled with scarcity-based thoughts, limitation-reinforcing conversations, and anxiety-driven financial behaviors. The transformation began when Rachel understood that consciousness is indivisible. You can't be abundant for 30 minutes and scarce for the remaining 23.5 hours and expect to manifest prosperity. True abundance consciousness requires what I call integrated coherence. Every aspect of your being aligned with prosperity throughout every moment of your day. Rachel began restructuring her entire daily experience around abundance consciousness. She would wake each morning feeling grateful for the day's unlimited potential rather than anxious about its challenges. She ate meals with appreciation for the abundance of nourishment available to her, rather than guilt about spending money on food. She approached work as an opportunity to create value and receive abundant compensation, rather than as a necessary struggle to survive. Most importantly, Rachel learned to relate to money itself from abundance consciousness rather than scarcity fear. When paying bills, she would feel grateful for her ability to exchange energy for valuable services, rather than resentful about money leaving her account. When making purchases, she would appreciate the abundant choices available, rather than worry about spending limitations. When thinking about her financial future, she would feel excited about expanding possibilities, rather than anxious about potential problems. Within 6 months of this integrated approach, Rachel's external reality had transformed completely. Her income had tripled through opportunities that appeared effortlessly. Her relationship with money had shifted from stress to ease. Her overall energy and enthusiasm for life had expanded dramatically. Rachel had become a living demonstration of abundance consciousness, and prosperity flowed to her naturally as a reflection of her internal state. Morning abundance consciousness. The way you begin each day sets the energetic template for everything that follows. Most people wake up and immediately engage with the limitations of their current circumstances, checking bank accounts with anxiety, reviewing bills with stress, or planning their day from survival consciousness. This approach programs your nervous system for scarcity from the moment you open your eyes. Living as a money magnet requires what I call abundance awakening, beginning each day by consciously aligning your consciousness with prosperity before engaging with external circumstances. This doesn't mean ignoring practical responsibilities, but rather approaching them from elevated consciousness instead of survival fear. Michael mastered this morning abundance practice by creating what he called his prosperity protocol. Before checking email, news, or bank accounts, Michael would spend the first 30 minutes of each day consciously connecting with abundance consciousness. He would feel gratitude for his body's health, appreciation for the day's possibilities, and excitement about the opportunities that would present themselves. During this morning practice, Michael would also engage in what I call future memory rehearsal, spending time mentally experiencing his ideal abundant life with full sensory engagement and emotional intensity. He would see himself living in his dream home, feel the satisfaction of his successful business, experience the joy of financial freedom, and appreciate the abundance that was organizing itself around him. The key was making these mental rehearsals more vivid and emotionally engaging than his current circumstances. Michael's brain began treating these abundance experiences as actual memories, programming his nervous system for prosperity instead of limitation. The results were remarkable. Michael's days began flowing with ease and opportunity instead of stress and struggle. Business ideas emerged naturally during his morning practice. Solutions to financial challenges appeared spontaneously. Michael's entire experience of life had shifted from effortful striving to graceful receiving. Abundance communication, one of the most powerful ways to integrate money magnetism into daily life, involves transforming how you communicate about money, opportunities, and abundance. Most people unknowingly reinforce scarcity consciousness through their conversations, complaining about prices, worrying about economic conditions, or bonding with others over financial struggles. Every word you speak about money is either strengthening or weakening your magnetic attraction to abundance. When you consistently speak from prosperity consciousness, you program your subconscious mind for wealth, while simultaneously broadcasting attractive frequencies to everyone around. Lisa transformed her communication pattern by consciously choosing to speak about money from abundance rather than limitation. Instead of complaining about expensive prices, Lisa would appreciate having access to quality goods and services. Instead of worrying about economic uncertainty, Lisa would focus conversations on the opportunities and possibilities available during times of change. Instead of bonding with others through financial complaints, Lisa would share her excitement about abundance and prosperity. This shift in communication had immediate effects on Lisa's social environment. People began responding to her differently, with more respect, interest, and support. Business opportunities emerged from casual conversations. Financial possibilities appeared through her expanded network of prosperity-minded connections. Lisa's words had become magnetic attractors for abundance experiences. Most remarkably, Lisa discovered that her abundance-focused communication was influencing others toward greater prosperity consciousness. Friends and colleagues began shifting their own financial conversations toward possibility and opportunity. Lisa had become a catalyst for collective abundance consciousness simply through the way she chose to speak about money and wealth. Work as abundance expression. For most people, work represents the primary arena where scarcity consciousness dominates their experience. They approach their career from survival fear rather than creative expression, focusing on what they need rather than what they can contribute. This survival-based relationship with work actually limits earning potential and job satisfaction while reinforcing scarcity patterns in every area of life. Living as a money magnet requires transforming work into an expression of abundance consciousness, an opportunity to create value, serve others, and receive abundant compensation for your unique contributions to the world. This shift from scarcity-driven career to abundance-based service changes everything about your professional experience and financial results. David experienced this transformation when he shifted his relationship with his consulting business from survival-focused income generation to service-based value creation. Instead of desperately seeking clients to pay his bills, David began focusing on how he could best serve the business community while receiving abundant compensation for his expertise. This meant approaching potential clients from genuine curiosity about their challenges rather than anxiety about securing contracts. It meant pricing his services based on the value he provided rather than what he thought he could afford to charge. It meant conducting business meetings from confidence and competence rather than need and desperation. The transformation in David's business was swift and dramatic. Clients began seeking him out rather than him having to chase opportunities. His fees increased naturally as clients recognized the exceptional value he provided. Referrals flowed consistently as satisfied clients shared their positive experiences. David had become a magnet for ideal business relationships and abundant compensation. Most importantly, David's work became a source of fulfillment and joy rather than stress and struggle. He was no longer working to survive. He was creating value and receiving abundance as a natural result of his service-based approach to business. Financial decisions from abundance. Every financial decision you make either reinforces abundance consciousness or strengthens scarcity pattern. Most people approach money decisions from fear, limitation, and survival concerns, which actually attracts more circumstances requiring fearful, limited financial choices. True money magnetism requires making all financial decisions from abundance consciousness, even when current circumstances suggest limitation. This doesn't mean spending recklessly or ignoring practical financial considerations. It means approaching every money decision from the perspective of someone who trusts in abundance and expects prosperity, rather than someone who fears scarcity and anticipates lack. Sarah mastered this abundance-based financial decision-making during a period when her income had temporarily decreased due to a career transition. Instead of making decisions from fear and restriction, Sarah continued approaching financial choices from prosperity consciousness and abundant expectation. When paying bills, Sarah felt grateful for her ability to exchange energy for valuable services, rather than resentful about money leaving her account. When making necessary purchases, Sarah chose quality options that reflected self-respect and abundance expectation, rather than cheap alternatives that reinforced poverty consciousness. When considering investment opportunities, Sarah evaluated them from abundance potential rather than scarcity fear. This abundance-based financial decision-making had remarkable results. Despite her temporarily reduced income, Sarah's overall financial situation improved during this transition period. Unexpected income appeared through channels she hadn't anticipated. Investment opportunities presented themselves that aligned perfectly with her resources and goals. Sarah's abundance consciousness had continued attracting prosperity, even during circumstances that might have triggered scarcity responses. Evening abundance integration. How you end each day is just as important as how you begin it. Most people conclude their days by reviewing problems, worrying about tomorrow's challenges, or falling asleep in states of stress and limitation. This programs the subconscious mind with scarcity patterns that operate throughout the night and influence the following day's experiences. Living as a money magnet requires ending each day in appreciation and abundance consciousness, allowing your subconscious mind to integrate prosperity patterns while you sleep. This creates what I call abundance programming, using sleep time to reinforce wealth consciousness and prepare your nervous system for the next day's opportunities. Jennifer developed an evening abundance integration practice that transformed not only her sleep quality, but her overall financial results. Each night before bed, Jennifer would spend 15 minutes reviewing her day from abundance consciousness, appreciating opportunities that had appeared, acknowledging value she had created, and feeling grateful for abundance that was organizing itself around her life. During this evening practice, Jennifer would also engage in what she called appreciation previewing, mentally experiencing the next day's activities from abundance consciousness and feeling grateful for the opportunities and prosperity that would present themselves. The effects were immediate and sustained. Jennifer's sleep became deeper and more restful. Her dreams often contained creative solutions to financial challenges or insights about abundance opportunities. Most remarkably, Jennifer would often wake with clear guidance about actions to take or decisions to make that consistently led to beneficial financial outcomes. Jennifer's evening abundance integration had created a continuous cycle of prosperity consciousness that operated 24 hours a day, programming her entire being for magnetic attraction to wealth and opportunity. Relationship abundance. Living as a money magnet extends beyond your individual practices to encompass how you relate to others around money, abundance, and prosperity. Your relationships either support and amplify your abundance consciousness or drain and diminish your magnetic attraction to wealth. True financial magnetism requires surrounding yourself with people who support and celebrate abundance consciousness, while limiting exposure to those who consistently reinforce scarcity patterns. This doesn't mean abandoning people who are struggling financially, but rather choosing not to engage in scarcity-based conversations or energy-draining interactions that weaken your prosperity consciousness. Robert transformed his social environment by consciously choosing to spend more time with prosperity-minded people while compassionately declining invitations to engage in limitation-focused activities. This meant joining business groups focused on growth and success, rather than support groups focused on financial problems. It meant having conversations about opportunities and possibilities, rather than complaints and limitations. The shift in Robert's social environment had profound effects on his financial magnetism. He began attracting business partnerships with successful, abundance-minded entrepreneurs. Investment opportunities appeared through his expanded network of prosperous connections. Most importantly, Robert's own abundance consciousness was continuously reinforced and amplified by his prosperity-focused relationships. The compound effect of integrated abundance. When you successfully integrate abundance consciousness into every aspect of your daily life, something remarkable happens. Your individual prosperity practices begin amplifying and supporting each other, creating what I call the compound abundance effect. Your morning gratitude supports your work performance. Your abundant communication attracts better opportunities. Your prosperity-focused relationships reinforce your wealth consciousness, and your evening integration programs your subconscious for continued abundance. This integrated approach doesn't just add up arithmetically, it multiplies exponentially. Each area of abundance consciousness supports and strengthens every other area, creating an ascending spiral of magnetic attraction to wealth that becomes stronger and more effective over time. Living as a money magnet isn't a destination you reach. It's a way of being you embody. It's choosing abundance consciousness in every moment, regardless of external circumstances. It's trusting in prosperity, even when appearances suggest limitation. It's knowing that your magnetic attraction to wealth is always operating, always drawing opportunities and resources toward you. The energy viva do dinero, the living energy of money, is always present, always available, always ready to flow through your life in wonderful and unexpected ways. Your only job is to maintain the internal conditions that allow this natural abundance to express itself through every aspect of your experience. You are not just someone who occasionally practices abundance techniques. You are a living embodiment of prosperity consciousness, a walking demonstration of wealth principles, a money magnet whose very presence attracts financial opportunities and resources naturally and effortlessly. The journey from scarcity to abundance is complete when you no longer remember what it felt like to live in limitation, when prosperity becomes your natural state, when money flows to you as easily as breath flows through your lungs, when abundance is simply who you are, rather than something you're trying to become. This is your new reality. This is your abundant life. This is you, living as a money magnet. The living energy of money awaits your command. Step forward into your magnificent, abundant future.